bribery charges of contravening the Financial Markets Act. The court also ordered that the money accrued from the sale of the Steinhoff shares be forfeited to the state. In November 2017, the late CEO Marcus Jooste is said to have shared information on the selling of Steinhoff shares before they fell. Berger received a tip-off from Jooste to sell his shares before their price dropped due to irregularities in the company's financial statements. The Deputy Environment Minister Naran Singh says the fight against rhino poaching can be won if communities around game parks work with the government. Rhino poaching remains a problem in the country where the animals are hunted for their horns. Singh was speaking at the Sandparks Vision 2040 launch in Sandton, Joburg.
If we are putting in fences, at Fleur, I think we invested 43 million. And I flew around over these fences to see. But people are still getting through. Because I saw homes not even 50 meters from the fence line. And those homes sometimes harbor poachers.
And South Korea's spy agency says it believes that the North now has enough nuclear material to produce at least a double-digit number of nuclear weapons. The announcement was made by South Korean lawmaker Lee Seung-kwon, who attended a closed parliamentary briefing.
It's our understanding that North Korea possesses a significant amount of highly enriched uranium, and with this, when weaponized, it has the potential to produce a considerable number of weapons.
Recapping the top story at 3 o'clock, and it's news just in. Councillors in the Tshwane Metro in Gauteng have voted in support of a motion of no confidence to remove DA Mayor Silius Brink. For SAFM News, ke Modupi Makgalemele.
And coming up in your sports this hour, 44,000 tickets sold for Chiefs and Sundowns clash, and Argentina makes 7 changes for their finale clash against the Springboks. I'll have more on this and other sports stories at 3:30.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, leading the conversation.
Africa from Within follows the journey of our anchor presenters who travel to various locations in order to delve into the inner workings and untold stories of the unsung heroes. At its core, Africa from Within is all about grassroots storytelling and the showcasing of the conservation contributions of ordinary people to Africa. It aims to engage and entertain viewers, educate and promote conservation, and inspire viewers to value our natural heritage. Don't miss Africa from Within on SABC2 every Friday at 7 p.m.
The world's best cooking show is finally here. MasterChef South Africa Season 5. You'll meet 20 talented home cooks from around Mzansi, noma upumaphi, and no matter your favorite dish. See if the chefs can handle the heat in the kitchen in a race to be crowned MasterChef South Africa. Every Saturday, 7:30 p.m. only on S3 Channel 193. MasterChef South Africa, the world's best cooking show, proudly sponsored by Pick n Pay.
Standard Bank Group, the biggest bank in Africa by assets, in partnership with SOAS, will host the 4th Annual Climate Summit on 1 October. The summit will host insightful discussions with various industry experts in charting Africa's course to net zero. The annual summit is one of Standard Bank's sustainability initiatives that are dedicated to driving growth on the African continent. Tune in on SAFM Facebook page and be a part of the conversation in shaping the future of Africa's energy transition. Brought to you by Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
6 minutes after 3 o'clock. Good afternoon. You're tuning into the National Pulse. My name is Oliver Dickson. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Really do appreciate it. Breaking story of the hour. Silius Brink has been voted out as the mayor in the city of Tshwane in a vote of no confidence that had passed with 120 councillors voting in favor of the motion. 87 voted against the motion and 1 councillor had decided to abstain from the motion. We're going to be bringing you live reactions and the details of that in a very short while. But we're going to jump straight into it. I'll tell you what's coming up on the show in a little bit later on, once we've had some breathing space. But I want to get straight into it and get some reactions from political parties about this. Let's speak to Kwena Moloto, who is the DA Tshwane spokesperson, who's on the line with us. Kwena, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. What is the Democratic Alliance's reaction to the vote of no confidence?
No, look, it's a very sad day. I think the past 18 months under Executive Mayor Celiya Brink, we've seen massive strides in terms of the delivering of basic services, the turning around of the city of Tshwane's finances, and for that work to come to an end today as a result of petty politics, egos at a national level, is difficult to truly accept at the moment. We do feel that Herman Mashaba has sold out. More importantly than just selling out this coalition, he sold out the people of Tshwane. The ANC and the EFF are going to use Herman Mashaba. He's been out saying that his body can't handle the abuse from the DA any longer, but I think he's in for a real bumpy ride over the next 2 years. We're still going to field Executive Mayor Celiya Brink in the upcoming elections, but if needs be, we'll continue to fight for the residents of Tshwane from the opposition benches. But yeah, I mean, as a resident of Tshwane, as someone that loves the city, I am feeling very disappointed today, and I know a lot of people are.
The Action SA party, through Ethel Trollop, has made the case for why, including Michael Beaumont, for why they decided to vote the DA out. And they say it's got nothing to do with petty politics. They've made arguments, substantively so, around the state of affairs in the city, citing various instances where certain controls have gone backwards in the city, such as the finances of the city being one such instance, and instances of malfeasance. What is your response to the substance of why they had raised the motion of no confidence?
Well, look, there are two aspects. Firstly, Action SA has been a part of this government since 2021. They hold the position of Deputy Executive Mayor. They hold the position of the MMC of Economic Development. And so to suddenly do a U-turn and blame any perceived failures solely on the backs of the DA is just, it's politicking of the worst kind. They've been in government with us. They've been more than willing to take credit for the successes that this government has had, but are suddenly unwilling to take any accountability for any perceived failures. Now, we've never claimed that the city of Tshwane is perfect. Like many municipalities and metros in South Gauteng, we are struggling with financial issues. But the reality is that just inside the last month, the city of Tshwane won a SALGA award for the most improved metro in terms of finances for the last financial year. That shows improvement. Between July and August 2024, as compared to July and August 2023, we've collected an extra R1 billion. So we are getting things right inside the city of Tshwane.
So here are some of the objective facts that the Action SA has put forward about why they think Celiya Brink was not a good mayor. They spoke about the city being bankrupt with a liquidity point of 0.6%, owing Eskom 6.8 billion rand, more than any other municipality of a similar size, owes municipal workers over R1 billion, and has only met 57% of its performance targets, irregular expenditure of 13 billion rand, despite having a capital budget of 2.1 billion, which you compare that to municipalities of a similar size, Durban as well as Johannesburg. You find that the city of Tshwane is really in a dire state. The question is, and more substantively for the Democratic Alliance to reflect on here, is whether or not Celiya Brink has been able to turn around the city as he promised.
Look, I think that there's a lot of political statements that they've made and twisted certain facts. The reality is that fruitless and wasteful expenditure and irregular expenditure that's made mention of is cumulative, and it's included amounts that even predate 2016 when the DA first took over government. It also includes, for example, the period of 2020 when the city of Tshwane was put under administration illegally by the Gauteng provincial government, in which our budget went from a surplus of 200 million to a deficit of 4 billion. And so many of internal controls were completely decimated during that period. I mean, even Edwin Swordy's company was awarded the tender for the wastewater treatment plant during that period. And so we can't take away the impact that those 8 months of administration had on the city of Tshwane, but we have been clawing our way back. As I said, we've never claimed to be perfect, but even when you look at our liquidity ratio, I mean, it's the most improved of any municipality, any metro across the country in terms of our revenue collection. Inside Gauteng, we saw again, we got an award from SALGA for most improved, and so we have been slowly steadying the ship. And the reality is that just 2 months ago, Action SA was singing the same tune. Action SA said that this motion being brought forward by the ANC was one that was motivated by corruption, and that the city of Tshwane was turning around, and that the multi-party government was working. And so for a few months later to make such a massive 180 is purely as a result of Action SA's poor election performance, then putting that on the shoulders of the DA, and unfortunately the residents of Tshwane seemingly will have to suffer as a result of that decision.
Yeah, the Democratic Alliance will be fielding Celia Brink once again in the council when a mayor has to be voted for, or will you abstain from the voting process altogether?
No, we'll put Celia's forward again, and as I said, whether we have an opportunity to continue governing or whether we end up in the opposition benches, Celia Brink has made it clear that he's not going anywhere. We're here to serve the residents of the city of Tshwane, whether that be in government, whether that be in opposition. We've seen from when the ANC and the EFF took over metros again, inside Joburg and Ekurhuleni, patterns of the reinstating of officials who are tied to corruption, reports suddenly forensic report investigations being stopped. And so if we're in opposition, we also know what to look out for, and we won't allow this coalition of corruption to take the city backwards.
Yeah, we're going to have to leave it there. Kwena Muloto, thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. Kwena Muloto is the Democratic Alliance spokesperson. I'm going to go straight to George Machila, who is the ANC Tshwane regional chair, regional secretary rather, and get his reaction from the ANC. George, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. The motion of no confidence passed. The ANC will now have an opportunity to field its own candidate. Firstly, what's your reflection on the motion of no confidence, your reflection on the conversation I just had with Kwena there from the Democratic Alliance?
Well, thank you very much, sir, and your listeners. It is most unfortunate. You can hear that there's a lot of noise here. I could not pick up anything that Kwena has said, but what I can say is that the motion of confidence has succeeded, and on the ground, there's a lot of people who are cheering, who are extremely happy, the people of Tshwane, who are exclaiming their freedom, that they are now free. I don't know what they mean by that, but they are extremely excited, and what they are saying is that they are extremely happy.
What was the real motivation for the motion of no confidence in Celia Brink from the ANC's perspective?
Well, the motivation is one. There's no real, there's no unreal. The motivation is about service delivery within communities, more particularly in the township. I mean, we have always raised the very same issue that relates to the question of service delivery that was skewed in favor of the suburban areas, while the people in the townships, in their majority, were not receiving the much needed services.
Yeah. Okay, so now the ANC will have an opportunity to field its own candidate with the support of Action SA, the EFF and other parties. Who is the ANC intending on fielding as its candidate? It has 7 days to do so.
No, we are not yet there. Remember, as we have indicated to various media houses, the first phase of this process was to remove the executive mayor, and secondary to that, we'll be going to the drawing board with the national leadership, where all these matters are going to be discussed. So there's no mayor coming from the side of the ANC or from any other side, because from where we are, there's no decision yet. We just want to remain disciplined and allow the national leadership to lead us.
So the ANC and the ANC and Action SA and the EFF went into a negotiation about the removal of Celia Brink, but had no conversation about who to replace him with.
Well, what I can confirm is that there's no deal yet. In principle, we are working together. All of us agreed that we had to remove the executive mayor, but there's no deal yet. I'm speaking as a person who was part of the meeting that the Secretary General of the ANC convened. So as we left last night, he said, go remove the executive mayor and come back so that we have a discussion moving forward. So that's where we are as the African National Congress.
Okay, so while the deal has not been reached yet, has names been thrown into the hat yet?
The name of who?
Any name.
No. As I'm indicating to you, there's no name, there's no agreement. We are going back to the drawing board as the ANC for national to guide this process. So they will be telling us as to what is their view moving forward. So that's the position.
But the ANC national leadership has given go-ahead to the provincial leadership in Gauteng to go ahead with the removal.
The go-ahead is only about the removal of the mayor. There's no other thing. I was part of the meeting last night.
Right. Is the ANC hoping to take over the mayoral chain, or will the ANC give an opportunity to any of the other parties that it's coalescing with?
As I'm indicating, because I'm not going to say anything outside what was discussed in last night's meeting. Last night's meeting said this is the first phase. The first phase deals with the removal of the mayor. Then there will be other phases where we are going to be guided. So I don't want to put the cart before the horse and say things that they will embarrass me at the end of the day.
Yeah. Just lastly, when is the ANC going to meet with the parties it's now coalescing with in the city of Tshwane, such as Action SA?
It might be tomorrow morning, but we understand that we are racing against time. So the national leadership will be calling us at any given time so that they are able to provide the necessary guidance.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Really do appreciate it. That is George Machila, the regional secretary of the ANC in Tshwane. We're hoping to get reaction from Action SA. We'll bring you that as soon as we are able to make a connection with them. And we hope to get some sense of what the direction is and who the next mayor may potentially be. As a resident in the city of Tshwane, perhaps you're listening to this. What are your views on this? Give me a call, 086 000 2032, 086 000 2032. Also send me a WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107, 0614 104 107. Tweet me. It is at Oliver_speaking on Twitter, Oliver Dickson on Facebook. What are your views on this? Do you think it is a good move for the removal of Celia Brink in the city of Tshwane? Or do you believe, as Kwena Muloto has said, that it is petty politics, not rooted in substance, and that Action SA, in not so many words, he says, sold out? Many have argued that Action SA's actions against the Democratic Alliance have turned vindictive rather than rooted in politics of substance. I'd love to hear from you. 086 000 2032, 20 minutes after 3 o'clock.
20 outfits of the Premier League are back on the battlefield for another spectacular season, with ambitions to play the world's most competitive and compelling football.
Rodri! City 3! West Ham 1!
This is the massive fight for the ultimate glory.
Is he going to try and beat him from inside his own arm? Oh, Moises Caicedo! I can't believe it! What a way to score your first Chelsea goal!
Experience the 2024-2025 Premier League season on Saturdays at 3:30 p.m. Live on SABC3 and at your fingertips on SABC+. Also available on sabcsport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
So why should I use We Buy Cars if I want to sell my vehicle?
Because We Buy Cars buys cars.
But will I get the right price?
Of course. We Buy Cars buys thousands of vehicles and knows exactly what every vehicle is worth. Their buyers deliver exceptional service and pay you immediately.
And how do I know what they'll pay for my vehicle?
It's easy. Visit webuycars.co.za or use the We Buy Cars app. Follow the simple steps and voila, you'll know your car's value in no time. We Buy Cars. Quick, easy, the best.
Channel Heritage Day your way on Afternoon Express on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. only on S3. As Chef Ruben Riffel braais lekker curried lamb skewers, we rock our traditional regalia, and Jules Harding of Good Luck celebrates her daughter Skylar's first Heritage Day, and it's orange malva pudding for dessert. That's Afternoon Express this Tuesday at 6 p.m. only on S3.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
22 minutes after 3 o'clock. I'm taking your reactions. Give me a call, 086 000 2032. I'd love to hear from you. I want to take you to this now. President of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, has urged the global community to impose sanctions on Rwanda for allegedly supporting the M23 rebel group. Tshisekedi made this call yesterday when he was addressing the UN General Assembly in the general debate in New York. But there's a real question around whether he's to receive any real support in this, given that Rwanda has the support of the West, largely so. Rwanda exports a lot of minerals, a lot of commodities, but it has no mines, it has no minerals, and it has no commodities of its own. These are all minerals and commodities that have been mined in the DRC in very difficult and precarious circumstances. And they're exported into Rwanda, and Rwanda exports it to the rest of the world. Rwanda reaps the vast majority of benefit and profit from this. The Congo, not at all. The region has been destabilized by an ongoing civil war, but very specifically with a rebel group, the M23 rebel group, being the insurgency that has been the sponsor of the instability that you see in the regions. Charles Nyukonge, who is an African affairs commentator, joins us now. Charles, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Has the calls of Felix Tshisekedi fallen in deaf ears in the United Nations General Assembly Council chambers? Apologies.
The calls of Felix Tshisekedi have not fallen on deaf ears, but the strategy that he's employing is one which begs for a review. He's talking to the General Assembly, which is really a large party or a large assembly of people who pay attention to very little things, and in particular only to those things which threaten their own security. So to the extent that what he's talking about does not affect the greater international community, that might not be the right forum. If I were Tshisekedi, I would say that he should lean on the recommendations of the panel of experts that found Rwanda to be contributing to the instability in the east of Congo, to work directly with the Security Council to churn out some kind of sanctions for Rwanda. Otherwise, the General Assembly may not be the right forum for him to do that.
Given the priorities of affairs that's before the Security Council right now, how much of a priority would the political instability of the Congo be before the Security Council as a forum?
That's actually a good question, given that the international community, and in particular the Security Council, has deployed the UN mission, which is one of the largest missions in the world, which is currently based in the Congo, and they have been there since 1999. That the mission is there, the international community feels that they have done the most which they can do. What Tshisekedi is asking for, it's not very clear as to what kind of sanctions he wants, for instance, against Rwanda, which, as you said, is an active member of the international community and stays in good relations with the West, as it were. The strategy which Tshisekedi uses here again is one which is wrong, because while Tshisekedi goes to talk to this large market called the General Assembly, Rwanda, on the other hand, is presenting credible evidence of threats to its own security from the borders of the Congo, and is presenting this bilaterally to members of the international community, to the extent that when Tshisekedi is talking, people are also listening. They're like, well, we also need to listen to Rwanda. So to the extent that it is so, Tshisekedi may be employing the wrong forum.
Yeah. Paul Kagame has great support of the West, and he has denied repeatedly any involvement in relationship to the M23 rebels, how much of the strength of the word of Paul Kagame will influence and shape whether or not any sort of real conversation about sanctions would come about?
I think the accusations on Paul Kagame are largely linked on the fact that Paul Kagame, or Rwanda as it were, maintains a presence either in the borderline communities or sometimes encroaches in the Congo. So by extension, those who fight the Congolese army are perceived to be on the part of Rwanda, as it were. Be that as it may, what the international community misses, and which Tshisekedi continues to miss, is two things. The FDLR continues to operate in the borderline communities and is a threat to Rwanda, and so Rwanda has legitimate rights to actually fight the FDLR, including pushing them in the DRC, because these are former Rwandese soldiers who have actually grown some hate for Rwanda and have remained in the DRC. So the DRC remains a protectorate or a protective territory for them, which Tshisekedi needs to be part of the conversation as far as Rwanda is concerned. And secondly, which is my last point, M23 is a formation of de facto Congolese armies. To the extent that the DRC continues to fail to address the issues which concern its military, the soldiers are only going to continue defecting from the FARDC up to join rebellions such as M23. So Tshisekedi needs to be inward looking and speak to its army to actually find the solutions to the instability in the east.
Does Tshisekedi have any allies in the world right now?
I am not sure that I would say that he doesn't have any allies. Tshisekedi is a member of the SADC, so he has the support of the SADC to the extent that SADC actually deployed a force to the DRC. So we would say that at the very least he has the support of the SADC. The fact that the Security Council, a panel of experts, found Rwanda liable, I think that there is some window of opportunity that he can actually engage the Security Council. As to how far that can go, my guess is as good as yours.
Yeah, I mean, but Congo's also a member of SADC. Congo also has some support in SADC. Surely SADC is not decided on the matter on who the agitator here is.
Yes, Congo is Tshisekedi that I'm saying that they're a member of the SADC. So Rwanda is not. So to your question whether Tshisekedi has any allies, yes, Tshisekedi has allies. The allies are, for instance, the SADC community that deployed soldiers, that Rwanda actually felt aggrieved that SADC actually deployed soldiers without consulting with her.
Yeah.
Tshisekedi again has allies in the Security Council, or by extension, the fact that the panel found Rwanda liable is because the panel would have gotten credible intelligence information, which was cross-referenced and cross-verified on the Rwanda side as well as in the DRC side. So there are windows of opportunity which Tshisekedi could actually explore, which in this case...
Just very briefly, in 30 seconds, concomitantly, there's also a conversation going on about the expansion of the Security Council for the inclusion of Africa. Rwanda, being a big multilateral player on the continent, may well position itself into the conversation of being one of the states in consideration for the expansion of the Security Council. How much more does that empower and embolden Rwanda and disempower Congo?
To the extent that at the end of the day, these conversations about which strategy a country employs, I think that, as I indicated, while Tshisekedi goes to the big stage and shouts, this should be done to Rwanda, Rwanda has been very strategic, talking to bilateral states. And in this case, I'm not surprised if that's what Rwanda is doing. Talking to the states, to Russia, talking to the United States, talking to the UK, talking to France, talking to all the 5 permanent members who actually are critical in the decision whether Africa can actually have a stake. So at the end of it, it really depends on strategy, and Rwanda might be employing a better strategy than even South Africa, that is still grandstanding and saying Africa needs 2 seats.
Yeah.
We need to change that conversation and move from the church pulpit and go right down to the grassroots, which in this case is the different countries, and talking to the different foreign ministers about crafting their national policies to support that.
Absolutely.
And the important ministers, those in the permanent who hold permanent seats in the Security Council.
Charles Nkonga, thank you so much. I'm going to have to leave it there. Really appreciate it, the African Affairs commentator. I'm taking your reactions to that. 086 000 2032. 31 minutes after 3 o'clock. Let's take your latest headlines.
And with the news headlines, good afternoon. Celius Brink has been removed as the executive mayor of the city of Tshwane. More than 370 police firearms and over 29,000 rounds of ammunition were recorded as either lost or stolen between October last year and March this year. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has instructed the Israeli military to continue fighting with full force against Hezbollah in Lebanon, despite growing calls for an immediate ceasefire. Details of these and other stories, 4 o'clock.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N12 westbound in Alberton has a crash before the R59 Reading interchange, queuing traffic on multiple routes through Crown, so expect delays. Eskempa-Cleley Drive northbound in Pretoria has delays towards Moot Street, and in Midrand, Allendale Road westbound has delays towards Mall of Africa, and the N1 northbound queuing on the off-ramp to Allendale Road. In KZN, the M7 has roadworks with traffic restrictions towards the Bella Road, Wakesley Road Junction. The N2 northbound has a stationary vehicle after Spaghetti Junction, and Umgeni Road westbound slow-moving through Springfield Park. In Mpumalanga, the N4 Skumanskloof is closed for track crash recovery between Old Joe and Patatanek. Traffic is rerouted via the N4 Elands Valley. In Cape Town, the N1 outbound queuing towards Monte Vista Boulevard exit, the N7 Jakes Hartwell Drive southbound queuing at Voortrekker Road, the N2 Nelson Mandela Boulevard outbound slow moving towards Hospital Bend, and the M3 inbound has a crash reported near Woolsack Drive. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Duming Kapele.
Dumi, are you going to Mbombela?
I'm not.
Are you going to FNB Stadium?
I'm not.
Where are you going to?
I'm working. I'm working. Just know that I'm working.
I want to make you jealous. I'm going to Mbombela.
I mean, you did say that yesterday already.
I am going to Mbombela. I'm going to have the time of my life. Shout out I actually want to know. I don't go to Mbombela very often. I mean, it would only be my second time in the last 2 years, and both instances were for rugby. Mm-hmm. Where should I have dinner in Mbombela? Where are the rugby fans having dinner? Where's a good place tomorrow night to just go hang out with the people and have dinner in Mbombela?
Perhaps our listeners will
give us a call. Let me know. I'd love to know where. If you're in Mbombela and you know where the good places are, where the rugby fans will be hanging out, let me know. I'll go there. 086 000 2032. Give me a call. What do you have for us?
Well, talking about FNB Stadium, 44,000 tickets have been sold so far for that clash between Kaizer Chiefs and Mamelodi Sundowns on Saturday. However, there's still tickets available, so it's not sold out as yet. Sundowns coach Manqoba Mngqithi says that games of these magnitudes should always be played in packed stadiums, and he's definitely looking forward to this weekend's clash. Meanwhile, Chiefs coach Nasruddin Nabi says that though he feels it may be too soon to face the Brazilians, he has vowed to give them a fight, a real fight. And here he is speaking through his interpreter, and then later on you just hear him trying to speak in English.
As you understood, we are Kaizer Chiefs, so I would really have liked to get more time to work on this match, because Sundowns is one of the greatest teams even in Africa. But we don't have time, of course, and we'll go to win. And
we go to play to give 200%. Why not to win? Yes, we play at home, and we are Kaizer Chiefs, and we have big respect for Sundowns. But we prefer play Sundowns with more time to prepare this game. But we will go to 100%.
Well, there you have it. They'll definitely give their best. I almost asked you, Oliver, if you're a Kaizer Chiefs fan, but then I remembered that you've been saying that you're a Pirates fan. But now we are just hearing everyone saying that Chiefs is winning. Yes, but Chiefs fans everywhere just saying, yo, guys, Chiefs is on a roll. We'll see on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I don't think they'll win on Saturday.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think so. I think Sundowns will get it.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah, Chiefs gets their fans excited and then disappoints them. It's not a team worth emotionally investing in.
We'll see on Saturday. Let's move on to rugby. Argentina head coach Felipe Contempomi has made 7 changes to his starting 15 that beat the Springboks 29-28 in Santiago. Thomas Lavanini comes in for Franco Molino, while Juan Martin Gonzalez takes over the number 6 jersey from Pablo Matera, who moves to the bench. Then in cricket, Bangladesh all-rounder Shakib Al Hassan has announced his retirement from T20 cricket. Al Hassan scored 2,500 451 runs at a strike rate of 121.18 with 149 wickets to his name in 129 matches. Meanwhile, in boxing, leading South African boxing trainer Colin Nathan is hoping the return of two credible world champions to the country with a double header in Japan next month. Africa and South Africa's only credible current world champion, Sivenati Nonchenga, will defend his IBF Junior Flyweight Championship against Japan's Masamichi Yabuki on the 12th of October, while 2 days later, Mpumelelo the Truth Kafu will challenge reigning WBO Junior Bantamweight champion Kosei Tanaka in Tokyo. And Nathan says that it will be a special moment to return home with two world champions in the hotbox gym.
You know, they're good friends. They're training hard together. They're also sparring partners. But I just think it doesn't matter where they're from. I think they're both South Africans. And I think that's what makes it even more intriguing, that South African boxing will have two world champions coming back home on the 15th of October. So, yeah, they are friends, like I said, but they're training hard next to each other. They're sparring hard with each other, with various other sparring partners. But it's just, I think it's amazing for them as well. You know, it's amazing for them as well.
Then finally in athletics, many of the world's top women's track athletes are set to compete for record prizes when the inaugural Atlas NYC gets underway today. American Olympic 200-meter champion Gabby Thomas and Kenyan 1,500-meter world record holder Faith Kipyegon are among the stars in action at the women's only track invitational. Serena Williams' husband, Alexis Ohanian, launched the event, which boasts a record of $500,000 prize pool external. That's around 8.2 million rand for a women's track meet, and winners across 6 disciplines will receive $60,000. So looking forward to this competition, and I think it's a great initiative in terms of encouraging more women in athletics as a whole. With that said, it's a wrap from my side for now. I'll have more in the next hour.
Yeah, let me know, where in Mbombela should I be hanging out? Where should I go tomorrow night? I tried booking a round of golf. It's full, it's busy. I tried looking for great activities to do while I wait for the game to start. I couldn't find much. So let me know if you're a local in Mbombela. Send me a WhatsApp voice note, 0614-104-107. It's just about 20 minutes to the top of the hour.
Africa Chivembe. As trees and flowers blossom, the nation gets brighter and excited for sporting action. Tune in to SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC radio stations. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. SABC Sport celebrates the nation's diverse culture and heritage. Happy Heritage Month. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Win your share of 50,000 Rand when you play Winning at Live with One Life. Don't forget to enter on our website, safm.co.za. Stay tuned to the morning brief on SAFM. Keep your phone on loud and we might be the one to change your life. One Life is a licensed life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online. One Life, changing lives.
When self-made billionaire Wilton Knight rescues police detective Lieutenant Michael Long after a near-fatal shot to the face, he gives him a new identity and a new name, Michael Knight. Paired with the unique Knight Industries 2000 aka kit, they are brought in during situations where direct action might provide the only feasible solution. Kusazo Shuba and Michael Knight and Kit are ready to rise to the occasion. Channel your best retro with Knight Rider, weekdays at 12 p.m. only on S3. Open up. S3.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
Give us a call, 086-000-2032. I'm taking your reactions to the conversations we've had on the show thus far. Let's have a listen at this WhatsApp voice note that's come through on our WhatsApp line.
Yo, what a mess. What a mess. I feel sorry for people of Tswane. How can you remove a mayor and else there's no deal on the table. No. These three parties, the FF, Action SA, and ANC, they're still gonna fight, and the people of Tswana will suffer. I'm telling you. Thank you. It's Kanwa Shibasa Ekopo, High Flats.
I want to read you this, which is a statement from Solly Malachi, the provincial leader of the Democratic Alliance in Gauteng, and he says, "Today will go down in history as a day that an outright backstabber sunk a functional government and in doing so traded stability for chaos. Action SA has disrupted the course of progress and unity in the Tswana multi-party coalition government worked tirelessly to build. Action SA's backstabbing played right into the hands of the ANC's power hunger. The ANC has no interest in good governance but wants to pillage and steal from a stabilized government." Now my question is, then why is the DA working with the ANC at a national level and everywhere else in the country if the ANC is power hungry and is only there to steal and pillage? Similarly, when you worked with Action SA, you only had good things to say about them. When they choose to work with the ANC, a party you're also willing to work with, everywhere else is a party, suddenly those parties have different labels. Backstab on the one hand and pillager and thief on the other hand. Which is it, Solly Malachi? You can't have your cake and eat it too. Give us a call, 086 000 2032. Let's go to the lines. Let's speak to, I lost Kandisa there, who I wanted to speak to in Matlosana, but I'll continue to take your reactions. 086 000 2032. Give me a call. I'd love to hear from you and your reactions to this. Let's take a break.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM. SAFM.
The complexity of South African history means that certain people's identity have either been taken away from them, diluted, or are just not recognized in law, in our social fabric, and everywhere else. Very specifically, the recognition of the Khoi and the San as very specific identifiable ethnicities in South Africa is not something that has taken shape. The Khoi and the San, natives to the African soil, are still not viewed as black or African under the Employment Equity Act. Similarly, neither are they viewed as such under the Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment Act of South Africa. Christian Martin, who's a Khoi and a San activist, joins us to have this conversation now. Christian, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. Is there any political will for this anomaly of history to be corrected?
Good afternoon to yourself. Good afternoon to the listeners. To be frank and honest with you, it does not seem there's any political will nor the necessary appetite to resolve this problem of the Khoi and San people being African and black in South Africa. I actually want to say that it seems that the legacy of apartheid by not referring to the Khoi and San also as African, the new dispensation of government, I can say, is nourishing that legacy by not identifying as African nor black. What is strange, I want to put this point, what is strange is that the African National Congress, the ANC, in 2017, they have decided at the NESREC, at the NEC meeting, the national meeting every 5 years, that the new terminology or definition for African would be all the Ngoonies and Khoi and San. But up to date, it has not reflected in any laws or statutes of the country.
Yeah, there is, and there is a case to be made that history has robbed the Khoi, the San, and various other ethnicities and tribal groups of their identities, their native identities, and as a native are entitled to the provisions of natives who have been pillaged from, who have been excluded and disenfranchised, right? And so there is an avenue for a constitutional challenge of the validity of the inclusion and exclusion provisions of the BEE Act as well as the Employment Equity Act. Is this something as an activist community that you're considering pursuing?
I would so love if by any chance somebody that can assist us by taking this matter to the High Court and to the Constitutional Court. What we have done, if you remember, and your radio station did carry it very well, 2017, we slept in front of the Union Buildings. At present, King Khoisan SA is still at the Union Buildings. One of the things was this same thing of African, being declared as African and not being part of the colored community. The other thing that we have done is we had a meeting with the former president of the ANC, Jacob Zuma. We went to Nkandla in 2019 to meet with him as to discuss this matter. We had a meeting with the current president, Cyril Ramaphosa. We have handed over to him also a memorandum, and he said it would come back. That never happened. We had meetings with the former minister, Ngezi. There's actually nobody that of note that we did not have a meeting with as to rectify the situation.
What is the response that you typically get from them in these engagements?
No, it's the normal political public responses that we will have a look at it and we will come back. But I assure you to date, no, and none of them have ever come back on the matter. If we meet them again, maybe during the next elections, they will just say the same thing. So the only logical that we must take this matter to the High Court, Constitutional Court directly. I even went as far as to arrange a meeting with the then Chief Justice Zondo, still awaiting for a meeting. There's a new person now in his place, and we are actually trying to get that person. 2 days ago, we refreshed one of our emails to the former President Nklantle, also to meet up with him to discuss this matter. I don't think there's any person that we did not contact as yet on this matter. All that we need is there's no George Bezos anymore that could have, would have, maybe have helped us. We are looking for that George Bezos amongst the living. I even contacted Dali Mpofu. I contacted the surname might be difficult for me to pronounce, Naitobi. I have contacted him myself. We have talked over WhatsApp. He even responded for that matter. At present, all that we need is a person like this magnitude that can actually assist us. Yeah. We just spoken to another legal firm within the Nelson Mandela Metro in Kabeja on the same matter. And so we are just waiting for them also to come back. But we need these people to assist us. We are pro-Palestine and all these things, but hey, serious guys, we need to start at home.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I really do appreciate it. Christian Martin, a Khoisan activist. I'm taking your reactions to that. Give me a call, 086 000 2032, 086 000 2032. Taking your reactions on the other side of this break.
20 outfits of the Premier League are back on the battlefield for another spectacular season with ambitions to play the world's most competitive and compelling football.
Rodri! City 3! West Ham 1!
This is the massive fight for the ultimate glory.
Is he going to try and beat him from inside his own arm? Oh, Moises Caicedo! I can't believe it! What a way to score your first Chelsea goal!
Experience the 2024-2025 Premier League season on Saturdays at 3:30 p.m. Live on SABC3 and at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Also available on SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The following advert is directed at HR and finance executives.
Hi there.
Hi.
Your talk on employee benefits earlier was very insightful.
Oh, thank you.
I'm trying to figure out who I should connect with on how best to structure our company's employee benefits. Any suggestions?
Well, I trust Old Mutual Corporate Consultants. They offer expert advice on optimal investment strategies, retirement fund management, employee benefits design, and much more. This means you'll get the best advice on your employee's future. Visit oldmutual.co.za/employee benefits and go from questions to solutions with Old Mutual Corporate. Old Mutual Corporate Consultants is a division of Fairburn Consult FSP 9328, a licensed FSP and member of the Old Mutual Group. T's and C's apply.
Hey, want to check your TV license balance conveniently? Look no further. Our SMS service allows you to do just that. By sending a message containing your ID or TV license number to 44210, you can quickly access your balance without needing multiple inquiries or waiting on hold. Plus, standard SMS rates apply. Take advantage of this efficient method to stay informed and streamline your payment process today. T's and C's apply.
Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM.
Good afternoon, Oliver. Oliver, is it the first time the ANC has put a mayor in Tshwane? If the answer is no, then what happened? What happened? Why was ANC kicked out of Tshwane? What is going to be different now? Why always is the vote of no confidence is the beneficiaries the ANC? Is it backdoor coming to power or what? Rome from Brixton.
Although the A mayor have successfully been removed due to his reluctant service delivery, especially in the areas such as Rama City in the west of Pretoria. It is said that even the new coming administration, which ANC is hoping to take the mayoral chain, will still delay service delivery in the places such as Rama City, west of Pretoria. We are hoping that time comes when MK will replace all these fake parties. Ganjo.
Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it. 086 000 2032 086 000 2032. The National Council of Provinces is meeting in Sandton, hosting a strategic planning session as part of their 7th parliamentary priorities. And this is 100 days into the new administration of Parliament, 100 plus days into the new administration of Parliament and 100 days into the new administration of government. Advocate Modibedi Pindela, who's the Secretary to the National Council of Province, joins me now to talk to us about the strategic planning session that they're hosting. Advocate Pindela, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Talk to us about the strategic planning strategy that's currently taking place. What is the objectives of it?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to the listeners at home. The National Council of Provinces, as you would be aware, is one of the houses of Parliament. The second house is the National Assembly. In terms of the law, the Parliament, that is the two houses, must after 6 months, 6 months after the election of the National Assembly, formulate its own strategy. And that flows from the principle that the preceding parliament cannot bind the succeeding parliament. So that is why the current parliament must come up with its own strategic plan. And the purpose really is to make sure that there are priorities that the current parliament would set for itself, the direction, that strategic direction that the current parliament will follow to determine how it intends to carry out its constitutional obligations.
Yeah. Just from a technical question here, the NCOP is meeting with as its body of 90 members. Some of those members are rotational, depending from various provinces. Are you also then meeting with the provincial legislatures of each province that feed into the value chain of the NCOP?
Yeah, currently it's just the permanent delegates of the National Council of Provinces. Remember that these permanent delegates come from the provinces and they represent the provincial interest. So we know that they would know and understand what is happening in their own provinces. The provinces, as you would be aware, like the President addressed the House during the opening of Parliament, the provincial legislatures would have been addressed by the premiers, and therefore the permanent delegates would know what the priorities of the provinces are. But I must indicate that the National Council of Provinces really represents the interest of the provinces in the national sphere of government. I think that's the important part of the representation of the provinces in the national sphere of government. The permanent delegates or the National Council of Provinces in general should not deal with matters that ordinarily the provincial legislatures would deal with. They should deal with matters at national level that the provinces would not ordinarily deal with.
So what are some of those matters? Can you give us an example?
For instance, if you look at the Constitution arrogates powers to the three spheres of government. There are provincial matters that the provincial legislature may legislate on. There are matters on which both the provincial legislatures and parliament can legislate on. Those are referred to as matters of concurrent competence, for instance. And there are matters that specifically the national parliament may only legislate on, like matters relating to defense, matters relating to water and sanitation. Those would be matters that can be dealt with only at national level. But if you look at matters relating, for instance, to social development, basic education, those are matters that the provincial legislatures can legislate on.
Yeah, let's talk briefly about lawmaking process. The NCOP is an important house as far as lawmaking is concerned. In fact, it's just an import of the Westminster parliamentary system where you have a lower house and an upper house. And oftentimes the NCOP can send back to the National Assembly a bill should it not be satisfied with whatever provision of the bill for whatever reason, right? And oftentimes when the bill specifically is an issue of national importance, that is to say of national competencies, the NCOP exercises its public participation, which it is constitutionally obligated to do in the lawmaking process. It exercises its public participation through the provinces and their structures because that just makes practical sense. The NCOP is not a big body like the National Assembly in how it's able to conduct roadshows and all of those sorts of things in terms of getting public participation going. What coordination is happening at that level in the strategic session? Because some provinces have been found wanting in certain instances when it comes to public participation and don't have a strong culture of cultivating public participation in lawmaking.
Those are exactly matters that the National Council of Provinces is grappling on. Is grappling with to ensure that there's coordination, not only insofar as the three spheres of government are concerned, but also insofar as the whole legislative sector is concerned. You look at how, even locally, between the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces, there can be committed programs where the National Assembly and the National Council of Provinces will collaborate in ensuring that there is that seamless operation between the two houses of parliament. But also, when it comes to the provincial legislature, the National Council of Provinces must ensure that there is programming on matters of common interest. And I must emphasize that point because it's not in all matters. It's on matters of common interest, that there's proper coordination between the National Council of Provinces and the provincial legislatures, particularly insofar as the programming of legislation is concerned. And that would be on matters that affect or on laws or on bills that affect provinces. Insofar as the National Council of Provinces is concerned, we do have what we refer to as the 8-week cycle. The 8-week cycle will indicate how the bill is to be processed. The bill affecting provinces is to be processed. So a committee will sit down, come up with a program, coordinate with the committee of the provincial legislature to make sure that there is that coordination, there's that seamless operation between the two committees of the provincial legislature as well as the National Council of Provinces. I do accept that in most instances, in most acts, had been struck down by the Constitutional Court for lack of
public consultants.
Public.
Yeah, and the NCOP has in various instances been a culprit in that. But I am going to have to leave it there. Advocate Pindela, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. The Secretary of the National Council of Provinces. It's a minute after 4 p.m. Midupi has your latest bulletin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dickson. And the top stories this hour: Silius Brink is removed as Tshwane mayor, and hundreds of police firearms lost or stolen. A very good afternoon. Silius Brink has been removed as the executive mayor of the city of Tshwane. 120 councillors have voted for the motion to be passed, while 87 voted against it. Only one councillor abstained. The motion was brought by the ANC, citing the city's dire finances and poor service delivery as reasons for his removal. More than 370 police firearms and over 29,000 rounds of ammunition were recorded as either lost or stolen between October last year and March this year. That is according to a written reply by Police Minister Senzo Mchunu to a question by Rise Mzansi. Gauteng registered the highest number at 121 firearms. Among the firearms lost or stolen are 5 R1 and 12 R5 rifles, which are mostly used in cash-in-transit heists. Rise Mzansi MP Makashulekana says this is a serious crisis.
Rise Mzansi is calling on the SAPS Commissioner General Fanima Simula to table a detailed crisis plan before the Police Portfolio Committee on how SAPS will prevent lost or stolen firearms and ammunition and implement consequences for lost or stolen firearms and ammunition.
The case against 2 of the 8 accused in separate gang-related killings in Limpopo has been postponed to the 7th of next month in the Thohoyandou Magistrates Court. The case against Tabang Mabule and Jabulo Mkhize has been postponed for further bail hearing. More than 10 men suspected to be gang members have been shot and killed in separate incidents in the Thohoyandou area in the past 10 months. Michael Makungo reports.
Mabule and Mkhize's lawyer will cross-examine the investigating officer when the matter resumes next month. Meanwhile, 3 other accused in the gang-related killings will also appear in Thando Magistrate Court later today. Mtevedzeni Mamita, Ernest Nevondo, and Mbuso Ngubane have been charged with the murder of Calvin Tumule, Rufuno Mukhense, and Sidwell Munaudzi. Michael Makungo, SABC, Polokwane.
The Departments of Tourism and of Science Sector Technology are launching the country's astro-tourism strategy in Carnarvon in the Northern Cape today, ahead of World Tourism Day tomorrow. The 2-day program is taking place at the Karoo town, which is home to the Square Kilometre Array. Provincial MEC Venus Blennies.
I think for us as a province, it's quite an opportunity because we then get to have an experience of space-related tourism in the province. To mention as well is that the Northern Cape is also home to the Southern African largest telescope that we find in the Sutherland. And this gives us an experience into our different sky tours, the stargazing experiences. This afternoon we'll be visiting the SKA with the minister. This evening we'll be hosting the minister at a welcome dinner, but also we'll have an experience of stargazing.
And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has instructed the Israeli military to continue fighting with full force against Hezbollah in Lebanon, despite growing calls for an immediate ceasefire. Lebanese authorities say 20 people, almost all Syrians, were killed in the overnight Israeli strike in the east of the country. More from the BBC's Yolanda Nell.
The Israeli Prime Minister's office has really come out with its statement trying to put the facts straight, saying the Prime Minister has not even responded to what is a proposal coming from the US and France that's currently on the table, and saying that any purported directive to calm the violence in the north is the opposite of the truth, that the Israeli military has been told to carry on there with full force. And I would say there's been some pushback from across Israel's political spectrum when it comes to the idea of a ceasefire deal at this point.
Recapping the top story at 4 o'clock, Sirlius Brink has been removed as the executive mayor of the city of Tshwane. For SAFM News, Kemudupi Makhalemeli.
And coming up in your sports this hour, Nabi affirms belief in Kaizer Chiefs squad, and Kruger credits SA20 intensity for setting him on Proteas path. More details at 4:30.
Across South Africa, online and on radio. SAFM, let's talk. SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound in central Johannesburg, slow moving towards Crown Interchange. The N1 northbound in Midrand has a stationary vehicle before New Road, and Eskom Pahleli Drive northbound in Pretoria has delays towards Mood Street. In KZN, the N3 eastbound queuing at Ashburton. The N2 northbound has a stationary vehicle reported after Spaghetti Junction, and the N3 eastbound has a crash reported. That's after Camperdown exit and Umgeni Road westbound, slow moving through Springfield Park. In Mpumalanga, the N4 Schoemanskloof is closed. That's for truck crash recovery between Old Joe and Patata Neck. Traffic is rerouted via the N4 Elands Valley. In Cape Town, the N1 outbound has a crash reported before the Monte Vista Boulevard exit. The M3 inbound has a crash near Woolsack Drive, and Victoria Road outbound slow moving through Woodstock. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
Kickstart your journey to success in 2025 with the Durban University of Technology. DUT offers programs in the faculties of Accounting and Informatics, Applied Sciences, Arts and Design, Engineering and the Built Environment, Health Sciences and Management Sciences, open for applications for 2025. Applications close on 30th September 2024, but dates may vary. Visit dut.ac.za for a full list of available programs and entry requirements. Apply now through the Central Applications Office by visiting cao.ac.za.
Mzansi, what has become of our country? Gender-based violence is eating our moral fabric, and we can no longer afford to turn a blind eye. This violence affects us all, occurring in various forms including femicide, which is the intentional killing of a woman because of a gender. It takes place anywhere, anytime, even in our own safe spaces at home. Working together with social partners through the National Strategic Plan on GBVF, the government aims to create a GBVF-free South Africa. As we acknowledge the gains from our 30 years of freedom and democracy, let us also work together to break the cycle of GBVF on our home ground. Call the 24-hour GBVF Command Center number on 0800 428 428 or text *120*7867#. A message from the GCIS.
Win your share of 50,000 Rand when you play Winning at Live with OneLife. Don't forget to enter on our website, safm.co.za. Stay tuned to the morning brief on SAFM. Keep your phone on loud and we might be the one to change your life. OneLife is a licensed life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online. OneLife, changing lives.
Africa from Within follows the journey of our anchor presenters who travel to various locations in order to delve into the inner workings and untold stories of the unsung heroes. At its core, Africa from Within is all about grassroots storytelling and the showcasing of the conservation contributions of ordinary people to Africa. It aims to engage and entertain viewers, educate and promote conservation, and inspire viewers to value our natural heritage. Don't miss Africa from Within on SABC2 every Friday at 7 p.m.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
10 minutes after 6 o'clock. My name is Oliver Dickson. You're tuned into the National Pulse. Thank you so much for being with us. Really do appreciate it. 10 minutes after 4, my apologies. Wow, how did I get the time so terribly wrong? My apologies. It's been a long day. A lot's going on. A little bit later on in this hour, we're going to be speaking to Rob Rose, who's a journalist and the author of the Stein Heist, which is a book covering the Steinhoff heist. An associate of Marcus Jooste, Gerhardus Burger, he today pleaded guilty to insider trading. This after Marcus Jooste had sent him an SMS. This is what the SMS said to him. Buy the stock at today's price, delete this SMS. That's simply what it said. That is a form of insider trading. Gerhardus went ahead and he bought Steinhoff stock, or he sold Steinhoff stock rather at that price. And one, not only is that unethical and illegal, but two, Gerhardus has an insight based on this into the collapse of Steinhoff, and by extension, perhaps even your pension money, if the PIC's losses are anything to go by, in Steinhoff. We're going to be talking to Rob Rose a little bit about that a little bit later on this hour. Cuban doctors, you remember those that have been deployed to South Africa during COVID-19. Now their contracts have come to an end and have went back to Cuba. But several of these doctors, in fact all of them, had received monies paid to them after the fact of their contract. DA Shadow MEC Jack Bloom, Shadow MEC on Health, Jack Bloom is going to join us for that conversation. 3.9 million rand is the price that will pay to the 7 Cuban doctors. It's about 135,000 rand, just about, each of these doctors received after the fact. Why? Why is that the case? We need to get answers. We have reached out to Gauteng Department of Health's Head of Communication, Mutatale Mudiba, but we are yet to hear from him. When we get a response from him, we'll bring him on the air so that we can get some answers from that end as well. You can be a part of all of these conversations. 086 000 2032, 12 minutes after 4.
Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM.
Now, the Cuban doctors which were deployed to South Africa during COVID-19 have now returned. Their contracts have come to an end, and they have been paid monies after the fact. 3.9 million rand paid to these 7 doctors. DA Shadow Minister, Shadow MEC of Health, Jack Bloom joins us now. Jack, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. What do we know about the facts of this?
Well, I asked a question of the legislature and I got an official reply. There were 28 Cuban doctors who were hired during the COVID period. They were supposed to work till May 2021. It was a 1-year contract. So they were actually hired in May 2020. They're supposed to work to May 2021. Of those doctors, 21 of their contracts were terminated. Well, they were all supposed to be terminated. 21 they stopped paying, but 7 of them they continued to pay even though they had gone back to Cuba. So in fact, instead of coming to an end in May 2021, they were paid all the way up till May 2022 while they were in Cuba. Now, it's just unbelievable that 3.9 million rand was paid to these 7 Cuban doctors. They weren't even in the country. You know, who was monitoring this? Why wasn't it noticed? I mean, it's huge incompetence at the very least, but one suspects that maybe the money was being siphoned off elsewhere.
When you asked us in the legislature, what answer did you get about why these payments were made?
Well, they admit that the officials alleged that they didn't know, that was an oversight. I mean, that's quite an oversight, isn't it? And there is a disciplinary process concerning the officials who allowed this to happen. But you know,
who are the officials?
2 years after.
Do you know who these officials might be?
Yeah, there are names in the official reply. It seems to be 3 officials. They are currently suspended on full pay. And as you know, these disciplinary processes take forever to conclude. But this is 2 years after the last payment was made. And they've only just charged them quite recently. You know, this is this problem of the Gauteng Health Department is they wake up too late. Disciplinary processes take forever. And I think we need to know the proof. I mean, you can't be that naive to think that, they overlooked 7 doctors being paid 3.9 million rand. Did they skim off the money themselves? I mean, we need to know this.
Yeah. So when were these officials suspended? In 2022, 2021, 2022, or after the fact of your question, which I assume was recent?
Well, I think they were only suspended this year. So it's taken a long time to come to light, and who knows what else these officials were getting up to. So this is the problem. They suspended on full pay, which, as you know, costs us a huge amount of money every year. They'll drag out this proceeding. I don't know if we'll get the full truth either, because it seems to me that it couldn't have just been these three officials alone. If you're one of the 7 Cuban doctors and you're in Cuba and you're receiving money in your bank account, well, why aren't you saying something about that as well?
Yeah.
This has become a bit of a diplomatic incident, actually, because the Gauteng Health Department says they've approached the Cuban government to try and get a refund. You know, that's fishy in itself, because you see, this whole arrangement with the Cuban government is that it goes through them rather than individually through the doctors. So I don't know who's been making money out of this, but I think it needs further examination.
They did try and make attempts to recover the money. They've been able to recover 1.2 million rand thus far of the total 3.9 million rand. What is their response about how far these recovery efforts of these monies are concerned?
Well, there's the 2.7 million rand that is left, and they say they're making all efforts to recover it, including through the Cuban government. So I hope they're successful, but this is 2 years after the fact.
Yeah.
You know, the Auditor General has, called it a material irregularity. It's strong, quite a strong words from the Auditor General, and basically it's fruitless and wasteful expenditure, which we've come to expect, unfortunately, from the Gauteng Health Department. So let me put it in context. I think this is just one in a huge number of appalling incidents of mismanagement and possible corruption that we've had with the Gauteng Health Department. It tells me that we need a complete change in top leadership there. They're still as rotten as they ever were. This is the department where Babita Deokaran was assassinated because she was uncovering corruption at the Tembisa Hospital. So, I think there's other scams going on. I think there's also a scam with the Cuban doctor training program, because there's also been various allegations made about that. So we need to get to the bottom of it. We need to conclude the disciplinary process. And I think if criminal charges are indicated, they must be laid. But we can't have a situation where huge amounts of public money, which is needed for patients in our hospitals, just gets siphoned off because of, either corruption, incompetence, or whatever else happens in that department. We can't allow it to continue.
Yeah, we're going to have to leave it there. Jack Bloom, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Jack Bloom is the Shadow MEC for Health and a member of the legislature in Gauteng Province. Taking your reaction, 086 000 2032. I'm going to take some of your WhatsApp voice note reactions in a very short while.
There's no road our buckies haven't travelled on. Roads to new beginnings. Roads to many firsts.
Enjoy your day at school.
Roads to delivering precious cargo.
Breathe, honey. We're almost there.
Even roads to saving the day.
Hey, Juan, we're going to have to tow you.
With every road that we've travelled for 45 years, we are what a buckie should be. Bold, capable, and reliable. Introducing the new limited edition D-Max 45, equipped with everything you need for every kind of adventure. Isuzu, with you for the long run.
Standard Bank Group, the biggest bank in Africa by assets, in partnership with SOAS, will host the 4th Annual Climate Summit on 1 October. This summit will host insightful discussions with various industry experts in charting Africa's course to net zero. The annual summit is one of Standard Bank's sustainability initiatives dedicated to driving growth on the African continent. Tune in to the SAFM Facebook page and be part of the conversation in shaping the future of Africa's energy transition. Brought to you by Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking.
Channel Heritage Day your way on Afternoon Express on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. only on S3. As Chef Ruben Riffel braais lekker curried lamb skewers, we rock our traditional regalia, and Jules Harding of Good Luck celebrates her daughter Skylar's first Heritage Day, and it's orange malva pudding for dessert. That's Afternoon Express this Tuesday at 6 p.m. only on S3.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
20 minutes after 4 p.m. Good afternoon. You're listening to the National Pulse. My name is Oliver Dickson. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I really do appreciate it. Let's have a listen at some of your WhatsApp voice notes and take some of your calls. 086 000 2032. Kandisa in Matlosana. Let's begin with you. Good afternoon. Go for it.
Afternoon, Oliver. How are you?
I'm fantastic, so go right ahead.
Good, man. Oliver, we really need local government, because it seems like to me it's like shows. They do shows in local government. Look, people of Tshwane, they are struggling there, and I think it's a good move for oppositions and ANC to remove that mayor of Tshwane. Oliver, you know Tshwane, what is happening there. And I'm very worried because always we change mayors in Tshwane. And that municipality won't be stable. Won't be stable because of always when somebody is not happy with someone, they remove him. And you ask yourself as a voter, because you are facing a local government, it's only a year that left. If these municipalities don't behave well now, how are we going to do after elections? You see?
Yeah.
Because it cannot be right, Oliver. Always you have problem of trust. People are going all the streets there. People are struggling, people are suffering, no jobs. But people are enjoying to remove others, to enter others, and this thing must come to an end.
Yeah. However, and this is important, that the city of Tshwane has had mostly DA mayors, right, since 2016. There was the exception of Mayor Makwarela, who was there for a very, very brief time when we found out that he was declared insolvent. And that was he had went through debt rehabilitation, and it found that was an exclusionary criteria to become a mayor. That was perhaps the only exception.
But Oliver, do you trust DA? Do you trust DA? You can't trust DA. Those people, they don't have interest of black people.
Who can you trust, Kandisa?
Hello?
Who can you trust?
Hello?
My question is, who can you trust?
Your question is what?
Who can you trust?
Look, Oliver. Let me tell you about the liberation movement, which is ANC. You know, ANC, you can check even their policies. That's why I call a state, because ANC don't deny me to speak. You see, ANC has... It's only few people who are making ANC don't work very well. But we know how we have the medicine to deal with those people after 2027 conference. You know?
Okay.
But if you can check ANC, it's very good. It's doing well.
Kandisa, you are one of very few people that continue to believe that, especially in the city of Tshwane. We're going to have to leave you there. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Butana in Rosebank, good afternoon. Go for it.
Oliver, my brother, thank you very much. You know, Herman Mashaba, that's a good decision that has left that abusive relationship of National Party. They've been abusing him for too long. They employed a Stratcom misinformation and propaganda against him. And they applied the divide and rule against him. It is enough. He cannot wait for 30 years to be subjected to be abused. By the way, they say the ANC are crooked, but yet they don't have a problem to form the government of national unity. What hypocrisy is that? They think they are the only smart people there. They must stop crookedness and treat other people with respect. He served them right. Let them go. They are not the only intelligent leaders that can lead there. They can lead with the crooked ANC as well. They will guard them not to steal.
Putana, thank you so much for your call. Appreciate it. Putana calling us there from Rosebank. Let's have a listen at your WhatsApp voice notes.
Hi, it's Mario from Eldorado Park.
Please just help me understand this. Didn't in the local government elections as well as in the national government elections, Mashaba vowed, in fact, never to work with the ANC. And now he's working with the ANC all because the DA decided to join the GNU and keep MK and EFF out of government. So are we running the whole political system just based on Mashaba's ego? Interesting.
Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. Let's have a listen at this reaction to our conversation on the Khoi and the San.
Hi, Oliver. Flores here from Worcester, Western Cape. It's really unfair what the government is doing to the Khoi and the San, and not acknowledging also their chieftaincies or their kingships. We spend millions upon millions a month to keep the Xhosa king and whatever kings there is in South Africa, to keep them happy and satisfied. But we forget about the Khoisan, the people who were here first, the first native people, especially in the Western and Eastern Cape. But yet, they mean nothing to us. But my money needs to go to a king who I not even worship, who I don't even acknowledge. That's unfair. Have a good show. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Njabula in Pietermaritzburg, you want to respond to Kandisa?
Yes, I'm just a first-time caller and just wanted to just respond to the Kandisa asked you a question, do you trust or can you trust the DA? So he directed that question straight to you, Oliver. But what I'm saying is, like, if you were to be asking me that question, I'd definitely say no. Because the DA is had, first it was the NP, a national party. Then it switched over to being the new national party. Now people seem to forget that now it's just the abbreviations, or now it's the DA. So it's just changing names. Still same old people change names. We can't say that those people
I'll
know.
ask you the same question I asked Kandisa when you said you can't trust the DA. My question is, who can you trust?
See, the problem is the people we should be trusting, not that who we can trust, because we can't trust them anymore. So that should be the ANC, the people who fought for the liberation of this country, among other parties in this country. But they failed to raise young or the youth to become the new leaders. People in parliament are too old.
Surely the voters have already told you that they can't trust the ANC.
But the people who they did trust, like myself now, I'm in KZN, the people that we did trust did not go into power because of some laws. But just one more thing, I just wanted to say, in terms of the people who are leading this country, we've had 4 democratic presidents, 2 good presidents, 1 natural leader, which was Jacob Zuma, 2 good presidents being Nelson Mandela and Thabo Mbeki, and the 4th president, sorry to say this, one who was not chosen by the people, but by his bank accounts. That's why the country is like this, and that's why the country is in a state where the president is not in touch with any of its ground people, like the ordinary
Njabula, I am going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. One more call. Let's speak to Silo and Mokopani. Silo, go for it.
Thank you for having Oliver. Look, Oliver, it's so funny, né? You talk to Kandisa each and every night, the whole day, complaining here on SFM about how corrupt ANC is in his village Northwest. And then he dare ask you who you should trust between DA and ANC. I think the man is confused. He cry each and he's gonna call you even tonight on your show. So Kandisa must just give us a break, man. He must know where he stands. Or did they promise him some smaller job there? Come on, man. He's a man who complains each and every day here.
Sila, we're going to have to leave it there.
Thanks complain, but now you're trusting ANC.
Yeah, Sila, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks a lot for your call. Appreciate it. Let's have a listen at this.
Afternoon, Oliver. The DA had it coming with their arrogance towards Action SA. I really hope that they will learn something out of this. And I am looking forward to a government of local unity. I hope that the ANC will see the wisdom of that and they will follow national government and do likewise. Thanks, Farai.
Thank you very much for that. Really do appreciate it. We continue to take your calls and your reactions later on in the hour. 086 000 2032. I'd love to hear from you. Right now, it's 4:30. Let's take your latest headlines with Mudupi Makhalimeli.
Afternoon. In your headlines, Joburg's housing NMC says that the building that caught alight in Midrand, north of the city, was an office building that had been converted into a residential complex. Silius Brink has been removed as the executive mayor of the city of Tshwane. And U.S. President Joe Biden has announced that he's raising nearly $8 billion of assistance for Ukraine in a meeting with President Volodymyr Zelensky in Washington. And those are your headlines. Greg will have your full update at 5.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N1 southbound in four ways is queuing towards Winnie Mandela Drive exit. The N3 southbound in Alexandra has a stationary truck reported before London Road, and the N1 northbound in Midrand, a stationary vehicle before New Road. In KZN, the N3 westbound and the N3 eastbound Saturday into Sunday will be closed for 45-minute durations, then open for 30-minute durations between Linfield Park and Market Road from 8 p.m. Saturday until 5 a.m. Sunday. And the N2 northbound has a stationary truck reported after Spaghetti Junction. In the Free State, the N3 northbound has a truck fire incident reported near Montrose Shell Ultra City, one lane open both ways, so expect delays. In Mpumalanga, the N4 Skumanskloof is closed for truck crash recovery between Old Joe and Patatanek, traffic rerouted via the N4 Elands Valley. In Cape Town, the N1 outbound has a crash before Monte Vista Boulevard exit. In Parow, Voortrekker Road eastbound has a burst water main reported at Delaray Street, so you are to expect delays in the area. And Delaray Street has a crash reported at Voortrekker Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Khapele.
Dumi, don't you owe me lunch from our last bet?
I do.
When I told you Akani Semenya is going to go sub 9-8. Yeah, when I told you he's going to go sub 9-8. And then you were like, nah, never. And I was like, watch. And then he did twice. Right? We'll add to that lunch account. Score prediction for the Boks tomorrow?
Yo. I'm actually bad at making.
Are they winning?
Yes. The Boks?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm rooting for South Africa to win.
They're winning.
I'm rooting for South Africa to win.
And you don't have a score prediction?
No. Can I not do that?
I think it's going to be a bloodbath. I'll tell you why. The Boks will fix their defense, which makes it hard for Argentina to attack. But Argentina doesn't have a good defense, right? So I think it will be a porous defense. So I think we will see 4, maybe 5 tries come out of the Boks.
Score?
Maybe 2 tries coming out of Argentina. So what's that? I'll say 38-20.
That high?
Yeah. 38-20.
You see, it's my job to ask for predictions, not to give predictions.
I say 38-20 to the Boks. You don't want to give a prediction?
No. No, I just know that the Springboks are going to win. Well,
what do you have for us?
Talking about the Springboks, so assistant coach Kenrick Lynn believes that Tony Brown has made the Springboks more dangerous ahead of Saturday's Rugby Championship decider against Argentina. The Boks need only 1 point from the clash at Bombela Stadium or to suffer a defeat without the Argentinians claiming a bonus point to clinch their first title since 2019. Now, Lynn, who is a former New Zealand player and now part of the Argentina's coaching setup, has worked closely with their tech guru Brown in the past. He praised the Kiwi for incorporating more width and unpredictability into the Boks game. In football, Kaizer Chiefs coach Nazruddin Nabi says that midfielder Bongiseni Mthethwa remains in his plans and may even play against Mamelodi Sundowns on Saturday. The former Stellenbosch FC midfield heartman had been linked with a move away from the club in the recent transfer window and has yet to feature under the Tunisian's mentor. Following 3-1 win over Amazulu at the Moses Mabhida Stadium last night, Nabi affirmed his belief in his entire squad, including Mthethwa.
And this is it. You know, my brother, we have I think 32 players. Now, all I have respect for them. if he's in my plan, what you ask me only for Mtetwa? We have to match another player. It's not here. No, we are a group. We are all the group. And Mtetwa have a good quality, particular quality. And I don't know, maybe after today his play is starting for the Sundowns game. But I don't want to talk too much for this player. I want to talk for all the group.
Elsewhere, Tottenham Hotspur will host Premier League rivals Manchester City in a repeat of the 2020-21 Carabao Cup final in the season's fourth round. There are just 4 non-Premier League teams remaining in the competition, with Stoke City, Preston, North End, Sheffield and possibly AFC Wimbledon representing the lower tiers of English football. Manchester United face Leicester City, while Chelsea and Aston Villa are still waiting to see who their opponents are going to be. In other news, Kaizer Chiefs strength and conditioning coach Muzi Maluleke is hoping to become the first South African to win Mr. Olympia in the United States next month. The Soweto-born athlete recently won a bodybuilding contest in the UK and booked his spot in the biggest and most prestigious event in the sport. Maluleke believes that the first South African to qualify for Mr. Olympia in 13 years, and he says that the world needs to know what this country has to offer.
It's like any other Cinderella sport, there's a niche community, but it's well supported abroad. But here in South Africa, it's still growing. And we hope that with my achievement will open doors for many athletes who are out there, because of, I think, the limiting factor for bodybuilding is that it's an expensive sport, and, with limited resources, majority of the local talent that we have doesn't get to be seen, So with that being said, I think with my achievement, I hope it will inspire other people to get involved, to give us the right support and the right resources so that we can have more athletes going to the Olympia.
I really root for him. I am. But the current world Mr. Olympia, I follow him on Instagram. I'm a big fan of his. His name is Chris Bumstead. He's American. He's been winning this competition every year since 2019. Yeah,
it
Chris.
Would be interesting.
Yeah, and like the endorsements he gets, right? I mean, I think at some point he was a USN endorser, ambassador, and now he has his own brands out for bodybuilding supplements and all of these sort of things. Yeah. He's young. He's like under 30. And he's a global force, man. And he just works relentlessly. He does a lot of fitness videos. That's why I follow him on Instagram. But Chris Bumstead, many say, even like if you listen to older guys like Coleman, are saying that he's unbeatable.
But it would be interesting to see.
If Muzi beats him, I'm buying every Muzi product.
Then he's beat literally the best in the world. Well, we wish him well, and hopefully he will definitely do well at that competition in the States. Finally, in cricket, Patrick Creer says that his elevation into the Proteas team was made easier following a successful SA20 campaign with the Sunrisers Eastern Cape. The 29-year-old made his Proteas debut against the West Indies in May this year and has now played 4 T20s and generally acquitted himself well on the highest stage. Now, the all-rounder is currently in Abu Dhabi preparing for the Proteas 2 T20s against Ireland on Friday tomorrow and Sunday, and touched on the SA20 that has breathed new life into South African domestic cricket. He played a pivotal role to help the Sunrisers retain their trophy in Season 2 and said that the intensity of the domestic competition made sure that he was ready when he got the call for higher honours. On that note, it is a wrap from my side for now. I'll have more in the next hour.
I want to hear your Springbok score predictions for tomorrow. I'm saying 38-20 against Argentina. What's yours? Give me a call, 086 000 2032, 086 000 2032. I'd love to hear from you. You can also send me a WhatsApp voice note on 0614 104 107. Do me still owes me lunch. So this is what I'll do. If you send me your score prediction and you get it right or you're closest to it and we play it on air, I'll take the lunch to me, Osman. I'll give it to you. Give me that call, 086 000 2032. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
How do you make bets and include me?
You owe me lunch. You lost the Olympics. I won. Akane Simbine ran really well and you didn't see it coming. 20 minutes to the top of the hour.
Okay. They actually did it. I mean, I've seen it done in other countries, but now they have a whole new local season of the show. Oh Mzansi, you beautiful, amazing land with diverse families and cultures. Wife Swap South Africa is finally here. Tune in from Monday the 9th of September and see how families from across South Africa swap wives and learn a thing or two or three on how other families operate. There will be disruptions, lessons learned, tears, and smiles in this unique and insightful social experiment. Channel your best entertainment with Wife Swap, Mondays at 6 p.m. only on S3. Open up. S3.
Durban's vast and warm ocean is our gold mine. Join us as we dive into the blue economy extravaganza, unlocking new opportunities and fostering sustainable growth during Blue Economy Week from the 24th to the 28th of September 2024 along the beachfront. Experience a display of exciting maritime activities from a variety of aquatic sports, groundbreaking maritime discussions and career opportunities, innovation programs, spectacular fashion, and much more. Don't miss this incredible event. Durban's Blue Economy, shaping our future. Visit Durban and explore the endless wave of tranquility. For more information, log on to www.durban.gov.za or any @eThekwini platforms.
The Blues want to ensure they control the 90 minutes in their own backyard to grab maximum points.
Oh, somehow he's got there, and he's poked it in! Super sub, Christopher Nkunku.
Meanwhile, the Seagulls want to be remembered for causing an upset at Stamford Bridge.
Oh, he digs it across, should be the match-winning moment. Pedro! Brighton have won it in added time.
This is the Premier League. Catch the spectacular encounter between Chelsea FC and Brighton and Hove Albion FC on Saturday, 28 September at 3:30 p.m. live on SABC3. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
And it's time for your market update. Makwe Masilela, Chief Investment Officer at Makwe Fund Managers, is with us. Makwe, we take a look at interim company news today and the local and international markets. Old Mutual have their interims out. Of course, this is after the fact of a couple of weeks of the operationalization of the two-pot system. What does their liquidity look like? Makwe?
Solid performance.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, can you just start again there? Sorry, we lost you there for a second.
I'm saying their performance was very solid, and good afternoon to you and to the listeners, because their operating environment had a positive investor sentiment following the general election outcome and forecasted interest rate cuts, but unfortunately the impact of two-pot system is not reflecting as yet. And when you look into their adjusted headline earnings, which is a very important metric for the earnings that could be distributed among shareholders, that grew by 3%, and that was supported by a very robust 14% increase in shareholders' investment returns, and that was due to the improved performance when it comes to the SA equities, and the adjusted headline earnings per share up 7%, helped by the share buyback implemented last year of 1.5 billion, and the guys will be opening a new bank next year, that is the first quarter of 2025, and as expected in their third rate reduction of 2024, the Swiss National Bank had cut their interest rate by 25 basis points, and China, Oliver, signaled a growing agency to the arrest when it comes to their slowing economy, and the president and top leaders today announced another round of stimulus measures, supercharging the stimulus, and also a series of economic data supported a solid economy, putting a stop to fears that perhaps the U.S. Central Bank aggressive rate cut was because of the slowing economy, and oil prices fell sharply on indications that there will be additional supply coming from both Saudi Arabia and Libya, and that itself overriding increased tensions in the Middle East. Remember, Libya's production disruptions removed almost at least 1 million barrels per day, and Saudi said they expect to abandon their unofficial price target of $100 a barrel as they are preparing to increase output. Brent crude is down 2% at $71 a barrel, and the mounting expectations of another US rate cut this year kept yellow metals near record highs. Gold, as we are talking, is up 0.4% at 2,668, but platinum is up 2.7% at 1,015. And Oliver, global markets are still at record highs, with the JSE up a whopping 2%, and the rand firmed almost 0.1% against the US dollar. It's now 17.22, 23.07 against the pound, and 19.23 against the euro.
Makwe Masilela, thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. A little bit later on, Jimmy Moyaya is going to come by and give us a throw forward into the MoneyWeb market update and also give us a sense of what those markets look like after they've been closed. 15 minutes to closing bell as you and I speak right now. GEMS have been hosting their annual symposium. The 2024 symposium focuses on innovate, integrate and accelerate a universal healthcare coverage commitment. We speak to the Chief Operations Officer on the other side of this.
SAFM values your views. Be an active citizen.
Dr. Vuyokazi Qola, who is the Chief Operations Officer of GEMS, joins us now. Dr. Qola, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. The theme of the event, Accelerate, Innovate and Integrate, a Universal Healthcare Coverage Commitment, is a very broad theme, but it's also a very bold theme. Talk to us about what the objective of the 2024 GEMS Symposium is.
Oliver, and firstly, thank you for having me on your show. So, most definitely, I think it's a very broad topic, but I think all South African citizens are aware that the NHI bill was signed, and it is our duty as citizens, medical schemes, healthcare providers in the healthcare industry as a whole, to really support this. And the reason why we chose this theme is that I'm sure this is no surprise to any of your listeners, that the stark disparities in this country are something that needs to be addressed. We are 30 years into democracy, and yet over 80% of our population relies on the public healthcare system for access to healthcare, which is underfunded, understaffed. And only, about 16% of the population can actually afford private health care. So we really wanted to, in solidarity and in support of NHI and universal health coverage, to talk about innovative ways of how we can re-engineer healthcare for the betterment of society.
Yeah. Talk to us about some of these, the context you've just given us around healthcare provision and the disparity within it, and some of the other performance indicators that you guys are looking at GEMS, and how you utilize these to enhance healthcare delivery.
So at GEMS, we really pride ourselves, I'm going to say, at being innovative. The Health Market Inquiry report, I think, came out in 2019, and it looked at specifically the private healthcare sector and, what the issues are there. And one of the issues that came up very strongly, among many others, is the affordability issue, access issues. The fact that there's not enough regulation around pricing and things like that. So affordability is a big issue. And that the way we actually reimburse as funders is not really sustainable in the current healthcare system.
Yeah.
I think people know that medical price inflation is way above CPI. So at GEMS, we are always looking for innovative ways of trying to change our reimbursement model, make sure that we focus on, health outcomes. So it's not just a medical scheme that pays claims.
Yeah.
We actively engage with hospitals, healthcare providers to make sure that we work together to improve the health outcomes of our members.
Yeah. Innovation really is a creative science, so to speak, right? And you can't avoid the disruption of technology as an innovative platform, forum, and tool. How is GEMS leveraging technology to advance the improvement of its delivery to its members?
So the nice thing about GEMS is that we are the largest closed medical scheme. We currently cover over 2 million 2.3 million beneficiaries. So that is public servants plus their families. We have a lot of data that we can use, that we can leverage. And we use this data for analytics, for predictive analysis, prescriptive analysis, descriptive analysis, and this really helps us in terms of seeing what exactly is happening in the healthcare system, what are the needs of our members, what does the data inform us in terms of how we can re-engineer the way we deliver healthcare. So we are in a unique position because of the mere size of GEMS. Use, artificial intelligence to make sure that we are not just a funder who pays claims, but that we engage with the healthcare provider society and the healthcare industry, meaning doctors, hospitals, physiotherapists, all healthcare professionals. To come up with alternative reimbursement models that focus on value and focus on quality.
Vuyokazi, is artificial intelligence and machine learning replacing your actuaries? I mean that facetiously.
No, it's so funny because one of our last speakers this afternoon was one of our healthcare actuaries that we work very closely with. And he said, well, that question is similar to, is artificial intelligence going to replace doctors or nurses? And no, that's definitely not going to happen in the near future, but is AI an enabler? Does it help us in terms of what we need to know? Does it help inform our decisions? Absolutely. But in no way does it replace actuaries or doctors like me or any other healthcare professional. Definitely not.
Yeah, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Dr. Vuyokazi Qola is the Chief Operations Officer of GEMS. Let's take a break. On the other side of this, we speak to Rob Rose.
This Heritage Month, SAFM invites you to celebrate the rich tapestry of our nation's diverse cultures. From the vibrant beats of our traditional music to the flavors of our unique cuisines, every culture tells a story of strength, unity, and identity. We honor the heroes and heroines who laid down their lives for our freedom, reminding us that our shared heritage is what makes us strong. Together as one, we celebrate who we are because our culture is our identity. This Heritage Month, let's celebrate every culture, every story, and every voice.
Africa Chivembe. As trees and flowers blossom, the nation gets brighter and excited for sporting action. Tune in to SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC radio stations. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. SABC Sports celebrates the nation's diverse culture and heritage. Happy Heritage Month. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Kickstart your journey to success in 2025 with the Durban University of Technology. DUT offers programs in the faculties of Accounting and Informatics, Applied Sciences, Arts and Design, Engineering and the Built Environment, Health Sciences and Management Sciences, open for applications for 2025. Applications close on 30th September 2024, but dates may vary. Visit dut.ac.za for a full list of available programs and entry requirements. Apply now through the Central Applications Office by visiting cao.ac.za.
Dawn breaks across the lush Serengeti plain, but paradise is fleeting as the animals face fresh challenges. Kali the lioness and Bakari the baboon may seem safe in their rock fortresses, but with rivals encroaching on all sides, their future hangs in the balance. Out on the plains, Duma the cheetah faces his destiny, and down by the river, baby hippo Mafuta strikes up an unlikely friendship with the crocodile Magamba. Channel your inner explorer with Serengeti, Season 3, Sundays at 6 p.m. only on S3. Open up. S3.
Across South Africa, online and on radio. SAFM, let's talk.
5 minutes to the top of the hour. Someone has been arrested. Well, had pleaded guilty and had been sentenced, a suspended sentence, however. Anticlimactic. In another Steinhoff-related matter, and that is Gerhardus Burger, who was a friend of Marcus Jooste and who has been found guilty, or at least pleaded guilty to insider trading. Rob Rose, the author of Steinheist, joins us now. Rob, tell us about Gerhardus.
Sure. Well, he was a friend of Marcus Jooste going back 30 years or so. And the issue with him is that he received a warning message from Marcus Jooste a couple of weeks before Steinhoff imploded, saying, bad things are coming for Steinhoff, so you should sell your shares. So that's essentially what happened in this particular case. He reacted to the insider tip, which you're not allowed to do, sold his shares and saved himself a massive loss that everyone else in the market had to absorb.
Yeah. The text said, you always asked my opinion. It will take Steinhoff a long time to work through all the bad news and America. So there are better places to invest your money. Take the current price immediately. Delete this SMS and don't mention it to anyone. How many people, because several people received a similar SMS, how many people did Marcus Jooste send this SMS to?
Yeah. So he sent the message to 4 people, and some of them did react and sell their shares. And the thing is that classically fits the definition of insider trading, which is that if a CEO or somebody who has information about what's going to happen in a company has that inside information and passes it on to somebody, and you act and you trade shares and sell shares to either make an increase in profit because you know something that's going to happen that's good for the company, or to avoid a massive loss, like in this case, that pretty much amounts to insider trading. So he was first investigated. Dr. Burger was investigated by the regulator, who then said that this was insider trading and he needed to pay a fine. And now it seems the authorities have decided to act and actually charge him for this, which is actually it's a massive move, because at the moment we've had several people charged globally for Steinhoff, but this is the first guilty plea in South Africa for the Steinhoff case. So it's it is relevant. It does move the case forward.
The Financial Sector Conduct Authority had identified Burger along 4 other people, Orkert Oosthuizen, Martinus Swigelaar, and Jaap de Tooy. Did any of the others plead guilty, and have any of the other names been found guilty of insider trading?
Well, there were certainly findings at the FSCA, but none in the criminal courts. So Dr. Burger is the first to face a finding in the criminal courts. Oki Oosthuizen, the rugby player, fought the FSCA, and Swigelaar, who was actually Marcus Jooste's driver, he cooperated extensively with the regulator, which the fact, I suppose, that Dr. Burger, who is quite old and didn't cooperate with the regulator, and he sold 39,000 shares, probably led to the fact that he was charged criminally. It's a big move to actually find somebody for insider trading in this country. We don't actually see that often.
Do we know from court papers what the value of those 39,000 shares were?
Well, essentially the share price was trading at about 85 Rand at the time, and then it fell to about 40 within the days after the revelations that Steinhoff was packed with just this massive fraud. So he pretty much, 39,000 shares times 85 Rand. So what they actually, it was about 3 million, but they did actually fine him initially, the regulator, 8 million Rand. There's various penalties and that sort of thing that take 3 million Rand when you'd be hit, when everyone else is hit by that. It's a big issue.
Did he pay the regulator fine? Because what happened in court was a criminal sanctioning, and while it's a white-collar crime, it also has criminal implications. He was criminally sentenced, which is a suspended sentence. But is there a reason why the sentence is suspended? And do we know if he's paid the regulator the 8 million Rand in penalties?
I'm not sure if he's actually paid the regulator. He was ordered to pay the regulator. I'm not sure if he appealed that and what happened in the appeal. Certainly the suspension of the sentence, it is a suspended sentence. And in the big Steinhoff fraud, which pretty much involved 106 billion Rand in fictitious transactions, this is a minor sideshow. It's a criminal conviction, which is very important for the Steinhoff case. But this isn't the heart of the 106 billion Rand fraud. For that, you need people to be held accountable. And there are people who have been arrested for it. And it's just a massive pity that Marcus Jooste, who was the mastermind of this, is now dead. He can't be placed in the dock and questioned about this.
What are the typical sentencings that we see with insider trading?
Well, I think this is absolutely one of the first we've seen, and that's why it's so important, is that, you've seen one or two go to court, but not really prevail, and there have been appeals on it. So that's why this is so significant, is that this is the largest case of insider trading in the country.
And it's
the fine levied on Marcus Huester for it was 160 million, and it was reduced to 20 million, but it's still massively significant. You can't just get a tip-off from a friend and avoid a massive loss that everyone else has to sustain. It's a sign of accountability in our financial markets, which is important. Arguably there should be lots more.
Yeah,
and that isn't happening. We need to be far more diligent about that.
Rob Rose, thank you so much for your time and your insights. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, insider trading really is one of those crimes that people get away with. This is certainly precedent-setting. Pity Marcus Huester himself is dead and won't be facing the music, so to speak, when it comes to his own involvement in insider trading. It's 5 o'clock. Let's take your latest news bulletin with Greg House.
Thank you, Oliver. More details of Midrand blaze and Tshwane Mayor shown the door. Good afternoon. Johannesburg Mayoral Committee member for Housing, Mulungisi Mabaso, says the building that caught fire in Midrand, north of Johannesburg, was an office building that had been converted into a residential complex. The blaze on Tuesday left one person dead and many others injured. Mabaso says the city should inspect properties to check if they're compliant in terms of safety standards.
Our focus has been in the inner city, considering the incidents that have occurred in the inner city. But now you see these incidents are going outside the inner city, meaning that now the city of Johannesburg needs to focus in all its properties, regardless of the location of the property within our jurisdiction. So that is the exercise that we need to embark on to make sure that our bylaws are enforced, to make sure that the building control is on the ground to check the compliance and to check if all these properties in terms of their planning and development processes have applied and have obtained approval within the city.
The Hawks in the Eastern Cape have confirmed that Elise van der Merwe, who was reported missing, has been rescued. The 39-year-old was kidnapped in Umtata on Friday while travelling from East London to a resort in Port St. John's. She was rescued along with a 34-year-old woman who had been kidnapped on the 17th of September between Elliot and Berkeley East. The provincial Hawks say they were released due to the pressure exerted by law enforcement agencies in finding them. Celia Brink has been removed as the executive mayor of the city of Tshwane. 120 councillors have voted for the motion to be passed, while 87 voted against it. Only one councillor abstained. The motion was brought by the ANC, citing the city's dire finances and poor service delivery as reasons for his removal. Metal Workers Union NUMS has called for government departments to enforce full compliance when appointing security companies who are providing security within government. The union was taking part in a joint picket with other companies in the security sector outside Parliament. The union say some companies continue to ignore the regulations and are non-compliant in paying pension fund and medical insurance benefits. NUMS's Frederick Mabasa.
Majority of companies that are guarding government buildings, they are not complying with the collective agreement of the bargaining council. The compliance is related to the incorrect basic salaries that are paid to the security officers. It's in relation to the provident fund. Majority of companies, they are refusing to make a deduction on a provident fund and pay it over to the service provider.
The U.S. President Joe Biden has announced he's raising nearly $8 billion of assistance for Ukraine in a meeting with President Volodymyr Zelensky in Washington. In a statement, Biden said all the remaining security funds have been appropriated will be released by the end of his term for Ukraine. The BBC's Danny Eberhardt has more.
President Biden has announced another Patriot battery and more Patriot missiles to boost Ukraine's air defences, a type of long-range glide bomb that will be transferred for the first time, and more training for Ukrainian pilots to fly F-16 fighter jets. President Zelensky has welcomed the package as a step to ensuring Ukraine's victory. But what he no doubt really wants is permission to use advanced Western weapons to strike targets inside Russia, to better protect his compatriots, energy system and armed forces, who are under extreme pressure. There's no word yet on that.
Top story, the Johannesburg Mayoral Committee member for Housing, Mulungisi Mabaso, says the building that caught fire on Midrand, north of Johannesburg, was an office building that had been converted into a residential complex. That's SAFM News. I'm Greg Khos.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation. Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 104.4 FM in Durban. SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound in central Johannesburg is queuing towards Crown Interchange. The N3 southbound in Alexandra has a stationary truck reported. Before London Road, the N1 southbound in Midrand is queuing towards Buccleuch Interchange, and Solomon Mhlangu Drive eastbound in Pretoria, slow moving at Delphi Avenue. In KZN, the N3 westbound in Pietermaritzburg has a crash reported after Ashburton exit. The N2 northbound, an earlier stationary truck reported after Spaghetti Junction, has been cleared, but traffic is still slow moving. In the Free State, the N3 northbound has a truck fire incident reported near Montrose Shell Ultra City. One lane's open both ways, so expect delays. In Mpumalanga, that N4 Schoemanskloof is closed for truck crash recovery between Old Joe and Patatanek. Traffic is rerouted via the N4 Elands Valley. In Cape Town, Lesbiek Parkway southbound in Observatory, queuing towards the N2 highway. Voortrekker Road eastbound in Maitland is slow moving. The R310 Adam Tuss Road eastbound is slow moving as you approach Stellenbosch Approach. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
In sports, 44,000 tickets sold for Chiefs and Sundowns clash, and Nathan I's boxing history with Nonjinga and Kafu. More details at 5:30.
Weeknights on S3 are anything but ordinary. BBC Primetime brings you the best of British television from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Open your mind to Life on Death Row, Thursdays at 9 p.m. and Resistance in a Hostile Environment, a 3-part documentary showcasing turning points which would go on to define race relations in the UK for a generation. Thursdays at 10 p.m. Wind down your weeknights with The Outlaws, Fridays at 9 p.m. and explore the world's most dangerous roads at 10 p.m. Channel your best entertainment with BBC Primetime, only on S3. Open up. S3.
Need a loan? Pay for what you need when you need it with a personal loan from Nedbank. And if you open a My Goals Plus or My Goals Premium account, you could enjoy 200 Rand cash back every month for the duration of your loan. That's 200 Rand every month to buy extra groceries or save for a rainy day. Visit nedbank.co.za and join the bank that's best for your loans. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
8 minutes after 5 o'clock. My name is Oliver Dickson. You're tuned into the National Pulse. In a short while, we're going to be getting reaction from Herman Mashaba, the leader of Action SA, on the vote of no confidence motion that had passed against Celia Brink in the city of Tshwane, sponsored, by the way, and supported by Action SA. What is the plan? I spoke to the ANC. They told us that there's no real replacement yet. They still have to go back to the drawing board. All they received from their national leadership was the go-ahead to vote for Celia Brink to be removed from office. Is there an actual plan here? Solly Msimanga, who is the DA's leader in the province, says that the Action SA party is engaged in backstabbing petty politics, so to speak. We're going to be getting that reaction from Herman Mashaba. I want your reaction as well. 086 000 2032. Give us a call. That's the number. 086 000 2032. You can also send us a WhatsApp voice note on 0614 104 107. A little bit later on in the hour, we're going to be in conversation with Dr. John Hunter Passanage, who's the Chief Executive Officer of School of Hard Knocks. And we're going to be talking about the School of Hard Knocks and its tremendous role in tackling trauma and improving emotional well-being of young people through sports. Sports can be a very, very powerful catalyst in changing the trajectory and behavior of young people. All of that and more coming up on the show this hour. 086 000 2032. It's 9 minutes after 5.
Across South Africa, online and on radio. SAFM, let's talk.
10 minutes after 5 o'clock, I'm in conversation with Herman Mashaba, the leader of Action SA. Mr. Mashaba, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. The motion of no confidence has passed, like you said it would, following what happened in Johannesburg, now also in Zwane. This is following a deal that the Action SA party had been able to strike with the ANC. But before we get into the minutiae of that, Solim Simanga calls you a backstabber engaged in petty politics. What do you say to that?
Well, Oliver, yes, good afternoon, and thank you so much for the opportunity. I think for one to respond to Soli's allegation or statement would be irresponsible for me. I'm sure you're aware, Oliver, actually informed South Africans as soon as I got to know about the backstabbing of the DA, which they were planning against Action SA, talking to ANC national leadership, to coalesce with them in the 3 metros in Gauteng, including Tshwane, and remove Action SA. And Soli and the DA forgets to understand that Action SA has got the right to defend ourselves. If you have a partner and the partner decides to go and negotiate with someone else to kill you, and you are expected to sit back until you are killed, unfortunately, I think he's got it wrong. We had to act proactively in defense of our right to exist.
So to be clear, you decided to divorce away from the DA in Gauteng or wherever you had a relationship with them because they were planning on removing you in favor of the ANC. Am I understanding you correct?
100%. That's something I've communicated immediately as soon as this information came to my knowledge, including himself, Solim Simanga, confirming it in newspaper articles about a month ago. Helen Zille confirming it. Even this morning, I was listening to on the media of one of the DA spokespeople just talking about it. And you know what? They think we all fools. They says no. When they contacted the ANC was to ask the ANC to stop motions of no confidence in the 3 municipalities, particularly in Tshwane, that they will also not have motions of no confidence against the ANC in Ikuruleni in Johannesburg. But you look at it, Oliver, if one uses common sense, in Tshwane, whether ANC could have brought any motions of no confidence, we had the numbers. So I think don't really make a fool of us. Why didn't you then inform us that you wanted to talk to the ANC? For what? For motion of no confidence. Yeah. Please give us another reason. Also at the same time, Oliver, let's look at Ikuruleni and Johannesburg. The ANC had the numbers. Whether a DA could have brought in a motion of no confidence, it stood no chance because they don't have the numbers to remove the ANC.
So just to be clear, once again, the ANC is a party that the DA wanted to replace you with, and you decided, actually, we'll go make the ANC a better offer, and given that they had bad relations in Gauteng, you stood a better chance there. It's not because you thought governing with the ANC will work out well for you.
No, absolutely not. What it is, we came to know about this plan of the DA, and while we're still actually thinking on how to react, then the ANC Gauteng then approached us on working with them. And absolutely, it was a great opportunity in terms of helping to defend ourselves and actually be in a position of authority. And actually, if you remember, Oliver, one thing that people, I hope they don't have short memories. As soon as this matter came to my attention, we accepted to talk to the ANC, and we had a press conference in that regard before even getting into the details of the kind of government we will form, so that people know that we are not talking to the ANC behind their back. And initially, we said to ANC, we will work with you to only occupying the legislative arm of government. And in Tshwane, we said, please help us to have the speaker, because DA in 2023, when Celia Brink, we voted him into power. 2 days later, the DA councillors were given instructions to spoil their votes. We ended up with an ANC EFF speaker who is still in power up to today.
Okay, Mr. Mashaba, what is the plan here? Is the ANC going to front a mayoral candidate and the Action SA party will get the seat of the speaker, or is that yet to be concluded? I spoke to the ANC and it seems like there isn't yet an agreement between the local leadership, the provincial leadership, and the national leadership about what is to happen next.
Yes, absolutely. I think that is true. You remember 2 weeks ago, people obviously need to really do their homework because we communicate. We don't operate on social matters of public interest behind closed doors. As soon as Action SA did review, because remember when ANC approached us, we said, guys, give us an opportunity, give us 2 to 3 weeks to do a review of talking to our ground structures to give us the mandate to proceed or not to proceed. And 2 weeks ago, the review process was concluded, clearly stating from our ground structures that we must divorce ourselves from this.
By the way, on that point, Mr. Mashaba, I've spoken to various so-called ground forces of Action SA, and I asked, hey, did you guys have this conversation? They said, no, this decision to now do politics with the ANC was made well and far above us. We were never truly consulted on this.
Well, I'm not really sure which structures of Action SA you've spoken to, because I can tell you we did a proper study. Please talk to any of our Action SA provincial structure, the PC of Gauteng. Go and speak to any of the REC members of Tshwane of Action SA. Go and talk to all the councillors of Action SA in Tshwane. In fact, those official structures of Action SA were not even prepared for us to do the review. They were saying, no, cut the relationship immediately. But we said as Senate, guys, no, we don't want to take an emotional decision. Obviously, if you talk to DA people, they will give you a totally different story. We've consulted our people, including actually talking to residents of Tshwane.
Would it be fair to say that you removed the DA because they were going to stab you in the back first, and this has got nothing to do with how Silas Brink had run the city? By the way, a mayoral committee that Action SA had participated in, the deputy mayor being an Action SA member.
Oliver, let me tell you something about this man called Silas Brink, who is regarded as the best thing God ever created. This is the man, go back to 2021 when Action SA was created. This is the man who was deployed by the DA to destroy Action SA. Please go into his social media platforms to see how this man despises Action SA. Before even participating in elections, as soon as Action SA was formed, DA went on a massive campaign to destroy Action SA, and Silas Brink was one of the drivers and the leaders of DA to destroy Action SA. But when they recommended him as a mayor, we decided, you know what, we knew about this man, but we said we'll back him up, including actually, Oliver, I don't know if you remember, we even went to an extent of taking our own councillors for lie detector tests because some of our councillors did not really want him. But we said, guys, leave petty politics, you're going to vote for this man. And we subjected them to a lie detector test. But 2 days later, under Silas Brink, all DA councillors spoiled their votes. I'm sure you remember that one.
Okay.
And up to today, they've never corrected this. So now you ask yourself, who's unethical or who's dishonest in this arrangement?
Right. Again, it doesn't seem like it's about how he's actually running the city. It seems to be about politics outside of the actual governance of the city.
Well, no. Look, Silas Brink was not really the best mayor. If you look at the DA as a political party, they took over the municipality of Tshwane in 2016. Please, Oliver, when you get an opportunity, look at their Auditor General's reports until Action SA came into play with our deputy mayor. That's when you started seeing a slight improvement. But while we're governing with with them. We're beginning for the first time since a DA took over the administration of Tshwane. We started seeing the improvement. Then they go out and speak to the ANC to remove us. And
okay,
if
so
anybody
just to repeat what you said, since the DA took over the city of Tshwane, you've been seeing improvement.
No, it's been getting worse than even during ANC's time. Please look at the Auditor General's reports from 2016 up to 2022. Please do yourself a favor.
Just maybe to ask you this,
even during ANC.
Just to maybe ask you this pointedly. You have a terrible history with the Democratic Alliance and several other leaders in Action SA, such as Michael Beaumont and Ethel Trollip, all have painful histories with the DA. Is your opposition to the DA rooted in personal vindictive vendettas?
Well, if that was the case, Oliver, we would not have actually ourselves voted for the DA in 2021 to be in government in Johannesburg and Iguruleni and Tshwane. Let me also remind you, because fortunately enough, the records are there. DA, 2 days after before the election of the mayor and the speaker, after the 2021 local government elections, DA pulled out of the coalition arrangement with all of us. It took us by surprise.
The Moonshot Pact.
Having a press conference. I then personally mobilized other parties that we vote them into power to avoid having an ANC government. So now, tell me, and fortunately enough, this is also recorded in history. It's not things that Herman Mashaba is just fucking out of.
I have exactly 30 seconds. Who is going to be the next mayor? Who's going to be the next speaker?
Well, the mayor, when ANC approached me and we agreed on this arrangement, I proposed to have Dr. Nasipi Moya, the current deputy mayor, to be the mayor, and they were amenable to that. So it will be an Action SA mayor. Yeah, absolutely. That is what we've agreed. The other position we said we will talk about. But as you are aware, the last 2 weeks, DA has been doing everything possible to convince ANC National to do the deal with them.
Yeah, I'm going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
When self-made billionaire Wilton Knight rescues police detective Lieutenant Michael Long after a near-fatal shot to the face, he gives him a new identity and a new name, Michael Knight. Paired with the unique Knight Industries 2000 aka kit, they are brought in during situations where direct action might provide the only feasible solution. Kusazo Shuba and Michael Knight and Kit are ready to rise to the occasion. Channel your best retro with Knight Rider, weekdays at 12 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
Standard Bank Group, the biggest bank in Africa by assets, in partnership with SOAS, will host the 4th Annual Climate Summit on 1 October. This summit will host insightful discussions with various industry experts in charting Africa's course to net zero. The annual summit is one of Standard Bank's sustainability initiatives dedicated to driving growth on the African continent. Tune in to the SAFM Facebook page and be part of the conversation in shaping the future of Africa's energy transition. Brought to you by Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking.
Africa Chivembe. As trees and flowers blossom, the nation gets brighter and excited for sporting action. Tune in to SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC radio stations. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. SABC Sport celebrates the nation's diverse culture and heritage. Happy Heritage Month. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM.
24 minutes after 5 o'clock. Wow, there it is. Breaking news, I guess. Herman Mashaba, the leader of Action SA, telling us that in agreement with the ANC, the next mayor in the city of Tshwane will be Nasipi Moya, who is a councillor for Action SA. And the ANC had agreed to that. That is what he just told us. Big story. I guess. Now we know. The ANC earlier on didn't want to tell us, and Herman Mashaba told us. So now we know. Nasipi Moya, Councillor Nasipi Moya, was the current deputy mayor in the city of Tshwane, will be the new mayor in the city of Tshwane. Nasipi Moya is a councillor for Action SA. I'm taking your reactions to that. Give me a call, 086 000 2032, 086 000 2032. Let's go to the lines. Let's speak to Mpo out in Cape Town. Mpo, good evening. Go for it.
Hi, Oliver. For me, I think the DA, they had their time. I mean, 8 years, I think, is good enough. But we haven't seen anything positive in terms of financial management in that metro. It's even worse than the other two big ones, Ekurhuleni, city of Johannesburg. I think it's about time that we see a little bit of change. I just don't know if Action SA will be the right party to lead that the metro because they don't have the right numbers as well. I mean, like we may find ourselves having another motion of no confidence. But I think we need change. I mean, we've been seeing on Twitter a lot of refuse not being removed around Mamelodi and other townships, the water management and all other things. So I think it's about time. I mean, the DA are not special; they can be removed, and I think we need to move on as well.
Okay, fair point. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it, Mpo.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot. Let's speak to Ernest in Polokwane. Ernest, good evening. Go for it.
Oliver, hi.
Hi, Ernest. Go for it.
You know, I wish you still had Herman on the line, so that we can get to understand exactly why they are doing it. You know, he's clutching at straws. I mean, even the ANC. So they go ahead and remove the mayor and ask them who's going to be replacing the mayor, and they've got no candidates whatsoever. So now what's going to happen? We have a leadership party. Is this really about everybody? Herman Mashaba goes on to say that they voted with the DA so that they didn't have an ANC leadership, right? Now they're turning against the same DA, and all these questions that you're asking about personal vendettas, he can't even answer a single one of them. So it's clearly about selfish interests that have got nothing to do with the residents and service delivery, and he's using the audit report as an excuse. Now, show me one municipality that obtains a clean audit report that doesn't have service delivery issues. Show me one. So all these politicians with their incompetence come on radio and say that they're using the audit report as an excuse. But it's got nothing to do with that. It's about service delivery on the ground. A clean audit report doesn't necessarily mean service delivery. Again, I'll give you my last penny if you show me one municipality that doesn't have service delivery process of issues and obtain a clean audit report. So Herman Mashaba shouldn't come on radio and claim that it's about service delivery. Clearly not. From the answers that he gave, clearly not. And I wish you could have asked him why they are doing this. Because the whole conversation, 10-minute conversation, didn't have anything to do with service delivery at all.
Look, and I asked him, is the removal of the DA has it got anything to do with governance? Because it seems to be about everything else but governance.
Exactly. And the ANC is probably using him, in my view, because they lost power at national level. The municipal elections are looming, and they're trying to consolidate power so that they seem to be doing something to gather the vote. So Herman Mashaba, he failed as a mayor in Johannesburg. The same ANC that he's voting with is failing dismally everywhere. So really, what's the excuse? Really not about this, but this is politics now.
Yeah.
I hope one day the residents will wake up, and unfortunately we don't have much in terms of options.
Okay, I'm going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your call. I really do appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Oliver.
Yep, thank you so much. Appreciate it. That was Ernest in Polokwane. Let's speak to Willie Nkuma. Willie, good afternoon. Go for it.
Yeah, good afternoon, Oliver. You see, Oliver, the issue of the cohesion, it would be sometimes so controversial, man. And you see, sometimes we run out of ways how to approach this issue. You know what? I think the cohesion community, let them, because it's a tribe, it's not a nation, just like the Xhosas, the Zulus, the cohesion. For peace sake and for unity's sake, let us all belong to one country. We shouldn't say we know they are the first people to arrive in South Africa. But now, the other groups such as the Sotho, the Xhosas, who came later, they fought against white people.
Just maybe to pause you there, just to maybe put this context, that's not at all, at a minimum level, what the Khoi and the San are asking for. The Khoi and the San are, at a minimum level, are asking to be recognized as natives so that policies like the employment equity policy and broad-based black economic empowerment can apply to them in the same way it applies to black Africans.
I get it, and I knew you could. But now the potential crime, because some of your question callers would say, "Oh, the Scotland actually," and then actually the land belongs to us. But the way you put it, Oliver, I think in that instance, it is materialized that let them be recognized, but now not in a clear form to say the Khoisas are there, the Zulus are there.
Okay.
In other words, if that is the case, then we go back to independent states. That's we have.
Willie, I am going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. I'm taking your reactions. 086 000 2032. Councillor Nasipi Moya of the Action XA will be the next mayor, according to Herman Mashaba, based on an agreement he has had with the ANC. It's 5:30. Let's take your latest headlines with Greg House.
Thank you, Oliver. A quick look at the headlines. Police say 2 alleged extortionists have been shot and killed outside Mthatha in the Eastern Cape. The Johannesburg Mayoral Committee member for Housing says the building that caught fire in Midrand north of Johannesburg was an office building that had been converted into a residential complex. And federal agents have searched the residence of the New York City Mayor Eric Adams after he was indicted on criminal charges. There's a full update at the top of the hour.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound is queuing through Crown Interchange towards Boysons. The N1 southbound in Centurion has a crash reported before Brockfontein Interchange. In Midrand, the N1 northbound queuing towards Samrand Road, and the N1 southbound is queuing towards Buccleuch Interchange. In KZN, the N3 westbound in Pietermaritzburg has a crash reported after Ashburton exit. The N3 westbound has a crash and a stationary truck reported at Peacevale. The R102 southbound is slow moving at Old North Coast Road and Chris Hani Road westbound queuing at the N2 highway. In Cape Town, the M5 southbound is slow moving towards Klipfontein Road, the N2 Nelson Mandela Boulevard outbound slow moving towards Hospital Bend, the N1 outbound is slow moving towards the M5 Kuburg Interchange, and the N7 Jakes Hadwell Drive southbound queuing at Voortrekker Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Duming Khapele.
In your sports this hour, 44,000 tickets have been sold so far for the Kaizer Chiefs versus Mamelodi Sundowns clash on Saturday at the FNB Stadium, but there's still tickets available, so it's not sold out as yet. And Sundowns coach Manqoba Mngqithi says that games of this magnitude should always be played in packed stadium. He's definitely looking forward to that action on Saturday. Meanwhile, Chiefs coach Nazruddin Nabi says that though he feels that it may be too soon to face the Brazilians, he has vowed to give them a fight and a real fight.
As you understood, we are Kaizer Chiefs, so I would really have liked to get more time to work on this match, because Sundowns is one of the greatest teams even in Africa. But we don't have time, of course, and we'll go to win. And
we go to play to give 200%. Why not to win? Yes, we play at home, and we are Kaizer Chiefs. And we have big respect for Sundowns, but we prefer play Sundowns with more time to prepare this game. But we will go 200%.
In rugby, Argentina head coach Felipe Contepomi has made 7 changes to his starting 15 that beat the Springboks 29-28 in Santiago. Thomas Lavanini comes in for Franco Molino, while Juan Martin Gonzalez takes over the number 6 jersey from Pablo Matera, who moves to the bench. Staying with rugby, assistant coach Kendrick Lynn believes that Tony Brown has made the Springboks more dangerous. This is ahead of Saturday's Rugby Championship decider against Argentina. The Bucks just need 1 point from the clash at Mbombela Stadium or to suffer a defeat without the Argentinians claiming a bonus point to clinch their first title since 2019. And Len, who is a former New Zealand player and now part of the Argentina coaching setup, has worked closely with Tech Guru Brown in the past, and he's definitely looking forward to seeing him cause a great headache on Saturday. In boxing, leading South African boxing trainer Colin Nathan is hoping to return 2 credible world champions to the country with a doubleheader in Japan next month. Africa and South Africa's only current world champion, Sivenati Nonjinga, will defend his IBF Junior Flyweight Championship against Japan's Mazimachi Yubuki on the 12th of October. Now, 2 days later, Pumelelo, the Truth Cafe, will challenge reigning WBO Junior Bantamweight champion Kosei Tanaka in Tokyo. And Nathan says that it will be a special moment to return home with 2 world champions in the hot box gym. Then in athletics, many of the world's top women's track athletes are set to compete for record prizes when the inaugural Athlos NYC gets underway today. American Olympic 200-meter champion Gabby Thomas and Kenyan 1,500-meter world record holder Faith Kipyegon are among the stars in action at the women's only track invitational. Serena Williams' husband Alexis Ohanian launched the event, which boasts a record $500,000 prize pool external for a women's track meet, and winners across 6 disciplines will receive around $60,000. On that note, it's a wrap from my side.
Last chance. Prediction. Last chance.
Maybe tomorrow. Let me go think about it.
Give me a call. What is your prediction for the Springboks versus Argentina scoreline tomorrow? I say 38-20. Give me a call. You know, the last time the Springboks played in South Africa, I was interviewing, I remember I was in conversation with Deputy President Paul Mashatile just the day before, the Friday before the match. I asked him for his score prediction.
Yeah.
And he got it like almost perfectly correct.
Is it?
It's the point difference was exactly what he had predicted.
Interesting.
Yeah. If Deputy President Paul Mashatile can get it, so can you and I. I'm saying 38-20. What are you saying?
I'll give you a score tomorrow.
Okay, we look forward to that. Give me yours. 086-000-2032. Give me a call if you want to send the WhatsApp voice note of your score prediction. 0614-104-107. 36 minutes after 5.
The world's best cooking show is finally here. MasterChef South Africa Season 5. You'll meet 20 talented home cooks from around Mzansi, Noma Upumapi, and no matter your favorite dish. See if the chefs can handle the heat in the kitchen in a race to be crowned MasterChef South Africa. Every Saturday, 7:30 p.m. only on S3, Channel 193. MasterChef South Africa, the world's best cooking show, proudly sponsored by Pick n Pay.
The following advert is directed at HR and finance executives.
Hi there.
Hi.
Your talk on employee benefits earlier was very insightful.
Oh, thank you.
I'm trying to figure out who I should connect with on how best to structure our company's employee benefits. Any suggestions?
Well, I trust Old Mutual Corporate Consultants. They offer expert advice on optimal investment strategies, retirement fund management, employee benefits design, and much more. This means you'll get the best advice on your employee's future.
Visit oldmutual.co.za/employee benefits and go from questions to solutions with Old Mutual Corporate. Old Mutual Corporate Consultants is a division of Fairburn Consult, FSP 9328, a licensed FSP and member of the Old Mutual Group. T's and C's apply.
There will be humongous fighting spirit accompanied by high emotions, tension, and drama. Because this is a meeting of giants. Golden Black targets maximum points as part of the Heritage Month celebrations. But Cabo Yellow says the Yellow Nation only gets impressed by victory. This is the Betway Premiership. Witness the massive clash between Kaizer Chiefs and Mamelodi Sundowns on Saturday, 28 September at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC1 and SABC radio stations. Also available at your fingertips on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
It is 38 minutes after 5 p.m. Well, 22 minutes to the top of the hour. You're listening to the National Pulse. My name is Oliver Dickson. Jimmy Moya is with us to give us a look into what's coming up on MoneyWeb Market Update a little bit later on. Jimmy, what do you have for us?
Good evening, Oliver.
There we
go.
There we
to
go.
the listeners. Sorry about that. It seems we had some small technical issues, but we're good. On the show today, we are taking a look at the decision by HSBC to exit the South African operations. They've been in South Africa for around 29 years. They finally decided to pack up shop. They are selling off their business to ABSA and to First Rand. We're going to be speaking to a banking specialist around that. We've also got a conversation around the Old Mutual results. They are coming out. They came out rather this morning before market open. They gave us a 6-month update. I've got a conversation with the Chief Financial Officer at Old Mutual around the pensions side of things, but also the overall performance of that business. Because it's Thursday, we've also got an SME of the Week feature today. We're going to be speaking to a company called Entity Empire. They are in the biofertilizer space, a very young entrepreneur in the biofertilizer space, so lots to look forward to there. Before we do that, let me give you a summary of how the markets have been moving throughout the day. It's been a very green day. Markets obviously loving the sentiment that's still filtering through from that Chinese stimulus that was announced. The Asian markets were all in the green by quite a considerable amount. The Sydney ASX was up more than 1%. Hong Kong up almost 4%. Shanghai 3.6%. The Nikkei in Tokyo 2.3% up. The European markets were also in the green with the exception of the FTSE, which finished flat. The DAX was up 1.4%. The CAC 40 in France up 2% almost, so 1.97 odd percent. The US markets at the moment are currently in the green, but not by that much. The Nasdaq is up 1/3%, the S&P up 1/5%. Our own local markets had a bolster of a day as well. All share 1.6% in the green, top 40 1.7% in the green, resources up 1.7%, financials up 0.25, so 1/4%, but industrials up 2.7%. That is the biggest gain that we have seen from the industrial sector this month, if I'm not mistaken. If we look at the currencies quickly, the rand holding steady, 17 rand 18 against the US dollar. 1 British pound will cost you 23 rand and 2 cents, slightly weaker than this time yesterday. We're below 23 rand yesterday. 19.18 will get you €1, and 11 rand 82 will buy you $1 Australian. If we look at the price of commodities, the gold price $2,665 an ounce there. Brent crude $71.89 a barrel. Platinum prices finally back above $1,000 at $1,010, and palladium pricing at $1,054. So we've got lots of positivity filtering through to the markets. We've got quite a bit to dig into when we come back a little later on. But before we cross back to you, Oliver, my parting thought is 42.23.
42.20. You think they'll get above 40?
If not 42.23, then 35.23.
That's a 19-point difference, 35.23. Okay, okay. Okay, I can live with that. I'll come back and you and I can chat about that. Did the two-part withdrawal cycle that started at the start of this month affect the interim results presented by Old Mutual in any way whatsoever? Of course, every time somebody withdraws, Old Mutual is entitled to their management fee that they also then get at that point in time. I'm sure that it's added quite a bit to the bottom line.
Yeah, so this is the thing. We're not going to see the numbers added to the bottom lines of the companies now because it was implemented on the 1st of September. Most of the companies are giving us results up to the period ended 30 June. But Old Mutual did kind of give an indication around the amount that was processed or requested. So I think it's something to the tune of just shy of 2 billion rand in funds that have been requested for withdrawal. Yeah. And as you said, they're going to charge for those withdrawals regardless. But if you look at Old Mutual's business as well, they managed to add funds under management. They managed to increase
1.4 trillion is insane,
that's it,
dude.
5% higher. So even if you're seeing
what
withdrawals...
does that make? Does it make them the second largest fund manager on the continent?
It might put them there. 1.5 trillion. I'll come back to you on that.
Yeah, it makes them one of the largest fund managers. That's insane. Good for them. Good for them. I hope they're seeing good results on the funds they're managing. 1.4 trillion is a lot of assets. Jimmy, thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. I'll be listening at 6 o'clock. Let's take a break. On the other side of this, we continue.
Across South Africa, online and on radio. SAFM, let's talk.
Give us a call, 086 000 2032. I'm taking your reactions to the stories here on the show this afternoon. Let's speak to Tsepo out in Kimberley. Tsepo, good afternoon. Go for it.
Afternoon, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm just calling based on the call that you had earlier on. I think you had a caller who called immediately after the conversation with Herman Mashaba.
Yeah.
And I just feel you guys are being so biased towards the poor guy, né? In a sense that it is acceptable when we get to accept the DA's response in terms of them having to work with the ANC, but they are always being faced with the same scrutiny to say that they've pulled out. I mean, they signed a coalition pact before and had an agreement, and now the DA sabotaged them, and now they're doing the same thing. But that becomes the focus point that is, and I feel you guys are being unfair towards them in that regard.
Look, sure. It's not like he is victimless in this. He made some choices too, right? And all political parties made choices. The point I was trying to make is this, and maybe I want to ask you if you agree with the point. It is one party saying, no, we're pulling out because you chose to go in another direction and you stabbed us in the back, but you also now going in the same direction to speak to the same party that they were going to speak to. At no point are they saying, no, we're removing ourselves from this party because we think they're horrible at governance. The primary motivation is that they were going to stab us in the back first, so we decided to do it first. That doesn't seem to have anything to do with governance.
And that becomes the issue of contention, which I feel it is wrong. That's exactly what I'm trying to bring across to say that. Remember, they signed a multi-party charter at the beginning, before they even went into elections. They had an agreement that they agreed to that none of them will work with the ANC. But the same DA decided to do that to them. And at the GNU, that was never brought up. But now it becomes an issue of governance. And it's more about having a working relationship. They can't see eye to eye as it is. Hence, the relationship has been shattered as it is. So now he's just taking a stand.
Okay.
Rather him than yes, that's how I feel. But please give him the courtesy, colleagues. Let's give him an opportunity.
Sure.
And let him decide for his party what's fit for him.
Thank you so much for your call. I appreciate it. That is Tsepo calling us from Kimberley. Vukani in Pietermaritzburg. Go for it. Good afternoon.
Hi, Oliver. How are you, my brother?
Fantastic. Go for it.
Thank you for taking my call. I would like to comment on the payment to the Cuban doctors.
Sure.
Yeah, that story really hurts me because it's an old story in government. Number one, I don't think it's a unique incident or situation just to the Gauteng Department of Health. It could be happening in many government departments. This is the risk that many government institutions are faced with of ghost employees, as we call them. And to hear that the Auditor General has raised it as an MI, material irregularity, worries me as to where were the internal auditors to actually pick this up. That's number one. But number two, there could be a situation where
I just want to pause you there because and I'm glad you say it's not a unique situation. I want to remind you about 2 years ago, in 2021, there was a very unfortunate incident that happened in Gauteng, but luckily, and it did cost us a lot of money because of the currency exchanges, but Gauteng provincial government uses Microsoft as an operating system, and they pay for the license annually. The license fee was 6.8 million rand for the year. And there was an administrator that had to pay the license fee. Instead of paying 6.8 million rand, they paid $6.8 million, which was effectively 318 million rand. And when the money was paid back, because of transfer costs and currency fluctuations, millions was lost in the transaction.
Yes. I'm saying, Oliver, even to say that they have suspended employees, for me, that is not sufficient because you'll find that these officials are only processing payments, but they did not have information that these Cuban doctors are no longer here. If they're employed in terms of HR processes, somebody must have certified in terms of the payroll report that they are here. If they were employed in terms of SCM processes, at least somebody must have said that the services were delivered. You'll find that these officials that we are told about didn't know anything about these Cuban doctors that they have left the country. So more needs to be done here. If I were in the department, I would advise them that they just do an audit on HR, not just the Cuban doctors, because as I'm saying that this is
of all payments.
Yeah, it happens in government institutions, and to this, it's an issue of qualifications and experience.
Okay.
If if anything, they need to do a fully-fledged investigations on their employees.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your call. Appreciate it. Vukani calling us from Pietermaritzburg. 086 0002032. That's the number. Let's have a listen at this WhatsApp voice note.
Hey, Oliver and all SAFM listeners. Good afternoon. Well, really, DA, has got some double standards in this regard, because they have been working with the ANC. Now they are blaming the Action SA to be working with the ANC. Who is fooling who here? And I really believe that the DA is actually playing double standards, and that has no place, in this country. This is Andile from Stegspruit in the Eastern Cape near the Lesotho borders.
Good afternoon, Oliver. Road Freight Bargaining Council. They deduct money for wellness. They deduct every month. You are supposed to have a card. They don't issue us with cards so that you can go to a doctor. And it's not every doctor, any doctor you can go to. They've got selected doctors. You find that doctor is not in your area. You end up going to the clinic, but the money is being deducted on a monthly basis. They are robbing us with that wellness. Lisa from Brixton.
A very good afternoon to you, Oliver. Oliver, may you please ask the outgoing mayor of the city of Tshwane, Silas Brings from the National Party, yes, the National Party, that ever since he took office, how many skills program has he ever offered to vulnerable persons with disabilities? How many jobs has he ever created? How many learnerships has he ever issued? How many bursaries has he ever issued for vulnerable persons with disabilities? How many? That man is a crook. Yes, the ANC did the right thing by voting him out. He's a crook, that man. Kazamula Kwaza, Pretoria Social Move.
Good afternoon, Oliver and SFM listeners. I'd like to pose this question to a gentleman in Musina who is always saying he has witnessed firearms being smuggled into South Africa from Zimbabwe. And I'm talking of JC Kaunda. I know he listens to SAFM. I would like him to comment about this allegation that almost 300-something firearms are missing, either stolen or missing from the SAPS. I would like him to comment about that. I know he listens to SAFM. Thanks, James Johannesburg.
Well, JCK, if you're listening, please do respond to that. Send us a WhatsApp voice note, 0614-104-107. Let's take a break. On the other side of this, we speak to the School of Hard Knocks.
And we went on a water safari, and Mom spotted a hippo, and it said, "Grrr."
There is a place where you can see wonder and the wild, with breathtaking scenery and endless landscapes. Enjoy good food and embrace great taste.
And the next day we went to the reed dance. I saw the maidens handing over reeds to the mighty Zulu king, and the Zulu warriors chanting, "Baye."
Explore all this and more in the magical Zulu Kingdom.
This message is brought to you by KZN Tourism and Film Authority.
Channel Heritage Day your way on Afternoon Express on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. only on S3. As Chef Ruben Riffel braais lekker curried lamb skewers, we rock our traditional regalia, and Jules Harding of Good Luck celebrates her daughter Skylar's first Heritage Day, and it's orange malva pudding for dessert. That's Afternoon Express this Tuesday at 6 p.m. only on S3.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
The School of Hard Knocks is an organization that exists to empower young people in tackling trauma and improving emotional well-being through sports. We speak to Dr. John Hunter Personage, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the School of Hard Knocks. Dr. Hunter Personage, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time.
Hi there, how are you doing? And please call me John.
Fantastic. John, tell us about the School of Hard Knocks.
Excellent. So the School of Hard Knocks is a non-profit organization that runs a few different programs, but the program I think we're going to talk about today is our schools program, where we spend a year working with kids in no-fee or low-fee schools, providing them and we give them rugby training, but rugby is actually just touch rugby training, but that is a way for us to connect with these kids and to provide them with mental wellness content that helps them to better deal with the traumatic challenges that they've faced in their day-to-day lives.
Yeah. Sport really is a powerful catalyst in getting young people to work through things, to insulate them from the dangers of the world. Talk to us about what some of the practical lessons are that you associate with the different sports in helping young people specifically tackle trauma and emotional well-being.
Sure thing. I mean, so sport's absolutely invaluable. If we went into a school and said we're there to do mental wellness work, there'd be very little interest. But through sport, we're able to build connections. So we have a team of coaches who go into the school, and they are from the same communities that the learners are from. So they can build connections. They can become a trusted adult in the lives of these learners through sport. So that not everything's an intense conversation, but they can throw around a rugby ball. We can teach them specific skills that from the rugby field or the touch rugby field that we can then relate to mental wellness lessons. So we might use a particular lesson to learn about boundaries, or we might learn to use another lesson to learn about how to deal with your emotions, or how to regulate your response to an event that you don't like, or as opposed to just getting angry. And many people who deal with trauma or face trauma on a regular basis, or chronic trauma, have gone into a constant fight or flight or freeze response. And we're trying to help them to move beyond that and to move into response mechanisms that can help them to reach more positive outcomes for their own lives.
Talk to us about how young people who listen to this and be like, oh, that sounds like an amazing program. I certainly want to get into it. I certainly want to be an athlete or a sports personality one day, and going through the School of Hard Knocks in my tough situations and circumstances can be an avenue to do so.
Excellent. So we're we work mainly in the Western Cape at the moment in our schools program, but we do have a few other programs that deal with men and boys' mental health and also linked to gender-based violence, and we often use football for that, and a women's program that focuses on women's well-being. But for our schools program, that is based in, at the moment, 5 schools, and we work with 600 kids on a weekly basis. And but next year we're intending to move that to 900 learners, and we've been very lucky with the support that we've had from various corporates and foundations in South Africa, including companies like Investec and embassies like the Irish Embassy, who've been big supporters of ours and help us to reach more and more kids and more learners each year.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. John. And those who want to get in touch with you on social media platforms, give you a call, how can they do so?
Sure. We're on Instagram on SOHK_SA, so it's SOC_SA. And our website is www.schoolofhardknocks.co.za. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's as it sounds.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that, John. Really do appreciate it. John Hunter Parsonage, who is the Chief Executive Officer of School of Hard Knocks. I'm taking your calls. I think we can get 1 or 2 in. Give me a call, 086 000 2032.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation.
Let's have a listen at these WhatsApp voice notes.
This whole scenario with Celia's Brink being ousted, it shows the huge cracks that are in the alliance between ANC and the DA, that there's actually no alliance. There's nothing. This is just, it's a joke. So it's just absolute chaos. So, the GNU, I think it's on its last legs. Leonard from Pietermaritzburg.
Hey, good afternoon, Oliver, your crew, and SFM listeners. I'm confused. I don't understand. How come they can take such big decision to remove a mayor without knowing who's gonna step into his shoes? I don't understand, serious. I don't understand, because maybe behind the scene when they want to choose who should be a mayor, they might fighting among themselves, fighting for the position of being a mayor, because we all know, all of them, they want to, the mayor candidate come from their political party. This is Zenzere Nxumalo from Ehlihlobo.
Thank you so much. Dennis in Rustenburg, you have a rugby score prediction for me.
Hi, Dickson. Oliver, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Go ahead.
No, I'm all right. To me, was scared to give a prediction of the results of Saturday's game. And you are giving 38-20. You know, you're giving a prediction that makes you comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, this is going to be a nail-biting affair. I think Argentina is going to lead for most of the game. But once the bomb squad is introduced, you know, there's going to be a difference of a point or two.
Yeah. Okay, you think it's going to come down to 2 points?
You know, look, I tell you, Argentinians are playing good rugby now. You know, they really are. You know, and I heard that they will be changing. You know, there'll be about 7 changes or so.
7 changes.
Yeah. Squad.
Okay, we'll see how that goes. Dennis, thanks a lot for your call. Really do appreciate it. I just want to leave you with this, and I want to point to the dishonesty of politicians sometimes, especially when negotiations happen behind closed doors. Earlier on, outside the chambers of City Council in Tshwane, Herman Mashaba told reporters that the conversations with the ANC hasn't reached the stage of who the next mayor will be. He echoed the same thing that the ANC had told us earlier on when we had spoke to George Machila, the Tshwane secretary, general secretary of the ANC. The exact same thing, and that's probably what they agreed to tell the media in the meeting. When Herman Mashaba spoke to me, I guess he felt a little bit more comfortable to tell the truth, and he told us, well, actually we did agree on who the next mayor will be. The ANC seems to be amenable to our suggestion, and they agreed to it, and it will be Councillor Nasipi Moya, right? Literally 2-3 hours later, he tells a different story. It's fascinating stuff. Really, as one caller said earlier today, who's fooling who? That's where we're going to leave it from myself and the team. It's goodbye for now. Thank you so much for your time. I'm back with you tonight on the Night Talk Show, and I'm back with you tomorrow here on the National Pulse. It's good night for now. Greg House as your next bulletin. My apologies.
Thank you, Oliver. Enjoy the rest of your evening. In this news update, alleged extortionist killed in shootout, and more details of Midrand blaze. Good evening. Police say 2 alleged extortionists